Well, hello there, and welcome to this latest edition of the Chamberlain Livestream. A little bit late. Today was going to be, or I suppose is still going to be, a celebration of our great friend Greg Owen for reaching 100K on the subs. But as fate would have it, he actually got sick, probably from the Chinese food that he had in celebration, which he posted on X. I might just read his introduction anyway, so he can watch it later on the re-up. This might be a little strange, but anyway. Last year, my first guest had less subscribers than me. Driven by resentment and desperation, his channel bleeding out, he reached into the digital underworld. A shadowy website with Comic Sans font offered 10,000 real subs instant, staffed by a dubious outfit in Bangladesh, whose office was a single fan-cooled room with 10 recycled Dell desktops. I first guest wired $49.99 through PayPal to a man named Raju, who assured him the subscribers were organic. By morning, his channel had an artificial spike of new admirers, their avatars suspiciously similar. None of them ever commented except for the occasional nice bro typed by a bot in Dhaka, running off a script written in 2017. Deep down, he knew it wasn't an audience he'd bought. It was a ghostly congregation of digital phantoms, a patchwork of zombie followers, a hollow applause track echoing through the void. And yet, as he forked out more and more money and the sub count rose in package dumps, he constructed an elaborate, fragile fantasy that he had finally broken through, even if the breakthrough had come with the faint smell of counterfeit plastic and fried server dust. So Greg, if you're out there and you're convalescing, that's for you. So congrats on your 100K subs, buddy. It's a pretty amazing and special milestone. Now, my next guest, my first guest, I suppose, has a side hustle operating a shadowy website with Comic Sans font offering 10,000 real subs instant, routed from his South Korean base of operations to a dubious outfit in Bangladesh, where his underling, a man named Raju, convinces gullible Westerners to wire $49.99 through PayPal with an assurance that the subscribers are organic. He has enjoyed a sustained bump in purchases from one anonymous American client recently, some humble, misguided, and desperate soul who almost pathologically keeps splurging their money on package bundles of fake subscribers, allowing my next guest to rake in enough money to give Raju a bonus and have enough of a financial cushion to work at home making videos. He is, of course, Despot of Antrim.
Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Congratulations to Greg on your 100K. However you got them, legitimate, illegitimate, doesn't matter. It's a great achievement.
Yeah, we're not judging him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we miss you, buddy. Okay. My next guest, in a low-key gesture of everyday civic pride, hung a St. George's Cross flag from his residence. Within days, active protesters were campaigning outside, drawing local media attention, statements from representatives of the local board and borough council, sparking fractious debate on social media, inciting a heavy police presence, making him a cause celeb in libertarian spaces, igniting a national discussion, sparking street melees with jerky phone footage of shrieking and bloody protesters, the matter being raised at parliamentary question time, mass demonstrations leaving the streets of all major UK cities congested, and him being approached to run as a Reform Party candidate, whilst also facing prolonged detainment under the Hate Crime and Human Rights Acts. Here, transmitting from an unspecified location due to safety concerns, is Random Film Talk. How are you, buddy?
Jesus Christ, I was not expecting that intro. What the hell?
I'm just trying to get the general tenor of the UK.
Yeah, I guess that works. They can't have my flag. I've hidden it. Yeah, thank you for the intro. And Greg, unfortunately, you're not here, but well done on hitting 100K. Congratulations.
Yeah, well done, that man. Okay, was my description of the UK sort of accurate? It looks like looks a little fractious right now with the whole St. George's flag thing that's going on.
I mean, I can't say that I have encountered one in the wild, apart from my own, of course, that is proudly displayed across my flag and my car, and my hat. You know, whenever I leave the house, I have to wear one on my head. No, I've not encountered one, but that's probably because I haven't. I mean, where is it? It's like the middle of Birmingham, I think, is where that was, or Manchester.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, neither of them are places that I typically go for multiple reasons. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be a thing, people having some fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Strange. Well, my next guest resides in Kansas, where the wind never quite stops, just shifts direction. She keeps the storm radio on the counter, and she can smell a tornado coming before the sirens even bother. Marching the dog and the crock pot down into the cellar, muttering that the neighbors don't respect good Brit work like they ought to. At the Dollar General, she knows which teenagers are trying to pocket lip gloss. She doesn't scold them. She just gives them the look, the flat prairie look that says she's seen more foolishness than they could guess. She has a side hustle selling crochet crop tops to girls in Portland who like to say they're Midwest core. Some nights she might go two-stepping at the VFW hall, then come home and binge comment sections about coastal culture wars before settling down to continue writing America's next bestseller. She is Kristen McTiernan.
That is so perfect. You meant to be funny, but it's just a documentary. Hold on.
I love the description of Kristen's look as Midwest core.
Very
No,
much
that's
so.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's all core now. I've heard the word norm core to describe dressing casually. It's not casual anymore. It's norm core. Everything's some sort of core.
Imagine just being just normal enough that you're not normcore, like you haven't done it enough, so it doesn't become an interesting category. Strange.
Oh, before I forget, I can use this as a segue. If anyone is interested in rocking the new Despot core look, I have a merchandise store opened up now, so you can buy some Despot t-shirts and mugs and things like that.
Well, the exciting thing is that you got Henry Cavill to model your shirts for you.
I know. He's a big fan of the channel, so what can I say? He also played John Normie, who is a character that dies every time he shows up and hasn't showed up in a while. So maybe he's dead permanently. I'm not sure. I must bring him back and kill him again. But yeah, get some Despot merch if you're interested.
No potential licensing issues here if you're using his likeness. There's no potential snags there.
I don't think so. I'll just say no. It's a Henry Cavill lookalike whose permission I got.
Yeah, I guess. How much of a percentage through AI do you have to change someone's likeness before it becomes copyright no longer an issue? 1%, 3%?
No, I think it's a lot more than 1%.
Well, there must be a margin somewhere. Any initial buyers and takers for the merch? You flooded
There's
with
a few, but it takes a few days for the same as anything on YouTube. It takes a few days for the data to come in, but it's just a bit of fun. I'm not. I've priced them so that I make a $2 profit on every item. And I think the website recommends a $7 profit, but I'm not trying to make this like a major revenue stream. I'm just having a bit of fun and putting out some merch there for the subs that are interested, and that's it. So if you want to get some Desperate merch, head over there.
Is that the most generic Karen iPhone though? I kind of miss like the reddish pinkish.
Well, that's non-playable shape.
Oh right, okay.
Karen iPhone doesn't. I haven't got a design for her yet because there's a lot of different things I could do with her. But yeah, we'll get a Karen iPhone design eventually.
Okay, great. Well, I wonder if I should get some Echo merch. Who the hell would buy that? Well, maybe I'll try. Anyway, we just want to recognize our friend, comrade, our brother-in-arm, Greg Owen here, who, as you can see, hit the 100K subs. And that's no mean feat. And he went in a tear, right, Desperate, like halfway through last year. He suddenly just accelerated. I think it's probably just because he makes good content and he's a cool guy. Pretty much it.
And it really is hard to hit that number. A lot of viewers probably don't think so because they see lots of channels with lots of subs. But the way channels get a lot of subs quickly is they use shorts. So shorts right. You can make kind of addictive shorts. It's a way of getting subs, but they're pointless subs, like anti-subs. They're not going to watch your longer videos, and it's kind of a waste of time. Whereas Greg does very few shorts. So yeah, it's a real achievement, and well done to Greg. And head over to his channel if you haven't watched his stuff, and check him out. Subscribe if you like them.
We're also at a weird phase where YouTube has decided that sub counts don't actually matter that much in how they promote videos.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration from content creators. I even saw Baggage Claim. She had a burnout. She posted this publicly, just so you know, I'm not spilling beans or anything. And then she posted a comment saying that she was very upset about how the algorithm had changed and it's more like become TikTokified, and that stuff isn't being promoted to subscribers, and the YouTube algorithm is much more interested in topical content things like that. So yeah, a lot of creators are getting very frustrated with how things are going.
Just seems unfair to be at the coalface for so long and then doesn't actually add up to much in terms of. I mean, it looks cool, but it's not really doing too much. Frustrating.
Well, I'm not sure if that's exactly true, because I think the algorithm still works where if they only show it to your subscribers, and then only if it does well among your subscribers do they start sending it to new people. And I found that to be very true with my channel, because not to make this about gender, but if I don't have a thumbnail with me on it and that specifically shows my snatched waistline, my views go way down and it does not get pushed out. Okay, so if you're wondering why my thumbnails all look like that, that's why. It's because it makes my subscribers click and then it gets pushed out to more people. So yeah. They say if like, it's
I don't actually agree with the not your Kristen with Baggage Game's assessment of the algorithm, because she said it's a much more topic focused now. It's much more topical, and that's not my experience at all. I'm not really a topical channel at all. I'll talk about stuff that's 10 years old, short films from 2019, and they do very well as long as they're interesting videos and my subs want to click on them. It doesn't have to be topical.
Yeah, like my video thumbnail had a Mickey Mouse with a thatched or snatched waistline. Do you think maybe it would have got better views?
If you'd used Minnie Mouse with prominent tits, large prominent tits, and a narrow waistline, yes, it would have done better.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Random?
I was going to say that, yeah, I just had a video do quite well, surprisingly, which I didn't think was going to happen because it really is not topical. But because it has performed, because it was performing well with my subscribers, it seemed to be getting me a lot of new subscribers over the last week or so. So it is a system that seems to feed itself. Because, like, I don't know, like, how you guys generally use YouTube yourself, like, when you're just watching videos. Because, like, I will always go to my subscriber list to see what is new, rather than using recommended videos. Like, I generally don't actively do that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'll go to subs first, and then if I don't find anything good, then maybe I'll click home.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, the way that it will work is that if a video performs well through that metric, which is going to be assisted by having more subscribers because you have more eyes on the video, or at least on the thumbnail, then at that point it will start being spread to other, similar viewers based on what other videos those viewers have watched. And it'll appear on the right-hand side or in suggested up next, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but if there's anyone listening that is a YouTuber, like a small YouTuber, or they want to start a channel, don't worry about all this shite. Just make the videos you want to make. Try to get a reasonably compelling thumbnail and title and get them out there, but don't worry about the algorithm because it doesn't do any damn good. Don't make videos for the algorithm. Make videos for your subscribers, for your subs, the videos that you think people want to watch and that you're passionate about. That's the best thing to do, and to not worry about all this algo shite.
Yeah, well, that's enough shop. Despot, I wanted to ask you, like, after the big summer blockbuster season, I have this weird, strange feeling of not quiteness. Like, I feel like that ancillary character in a film where there's some moment of drama and then a comedic quiet beat, and I go, so that just happened. Like, I don't know what happened. What was this?
It's getting so bad. Even, and it's been bad always, but like you said, in your video, that the woke era has ended, the era of slop has come, and this is what it looks like. This is the era of slop, and there's some of this stuff which I just downright refuse to watch, like How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch. I didn't watch. I will never watch another live action remake. Snow White was the end of it for me. I'm done with those fucking things. I hate them. When I say I hate them, I don't just mean I dislike them as bad entertainment. I despise them on principle because they're plagiarisms. It's sick. It's absolutely sick that they can plagiarize old work and make money off it. And I hate the audience for going to see it. It's just wrong. So I won't watch them. I just won't watch these live action remakes anymore. And I want to thank you, Echo, because you told me this inspiring story about how you didn't watch Fantastic Four. You couldn't be fucked. And Ballerina was released in South Korea a few weeks ago. And I thought, no, I just couldn't be fucked. I'm not going to bother my ass seeing that because I'm tired and feeling a bit burned out. So no, I'm just gonna go and do other things. And it was nice. It was really, really nice.
it's like a socio-cultural and even social psychological moment of a rupture and breach, and it's very freeing. So I think it's good.
I will say though, apparently Bad Guys 2 is good. Greg said that was very good. I haven't seen it. It is a kids movie. F1, it's a good movie, but I would describe it as an IKEA movie in that it's correctly assembled and it's very functional, but it's based entirely on existing tropes. Everything you see in it has been done before. It's all very recognizable and safe, and it tends to avoid sharper edges. I mean, I love IKEA. Everything in this room is IKEA, but it's just very it's sterile and dull in that way. But still very it's acceptable. It's easily the best movie there. I mean,
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
it's the only
28
original
Years Later,
film
I'm in the minority with 28 Years Later. I like that movie, but it still has major problems. And even someone who liked 28 Years Later, was a bit disappointed with it. Mission Impossible was dog shit. All the superhero stuff is trash. I haven't seen The Karate Kid. How much of this have you seen, Random?
Firsthand, I have seen Mission Impossible, F1, Fantastic Four, 28 Years, and I have listened to the EFAP on Lilo and Stitch. I haven't seen any of the others. Thunderbolts are just like, I don't care. Bad Guys 2, I have no interest in. Superman, I just don't care. Like, basically, I don't really care about them, honestly. Like, the only ones that I kind of watched because I had hopes for was F1 and 28 Years. I didn't like 28 Years, and I pretty much agree with everything that you just said about F1. Like, it is the best movie of the year so far that I've seen. It will probably finish the year as the best movie of the year. But honestly, it's a middling movie. It is a totally forgettable movie that was made really, really well. So like the production value is sky high. The characterization is fine. The acting in the film is, good enough. It's the kind of thing that you would expect from like a Brad Pitt led, I guess, sports movie. And it's very impressive when you watch it. Narratively though, there's very little there. It's cheesy as all hell. Which, I mean, I liked, but then you've got like the other factor of, I don't really know a huge amount about Formula One, but everything that happens in the film is complete nonsense if you know anything about Formula One. So like that doesn't affect it for me, but when you have the character, doing things that you just straight up cannot do in a Formula One race, and he's busting out this like it's some new move that no one's ever seen before, and I don't know. Maybe it's because like Lewis Hamilton was involved in production. He was, I believe, one of the executive producers on the film. And it could have been something like the Ron Howard movie. What was it called? Rush. Something like that. That was a lot more grounded and realistic. Whereas this was really, it was Top Gun in cars, basically, which, it was fun and I liked it, but I'll forget about it next year.
Yeah,
I haven't actually seen the film, but does Brad Pitt die at the end by any chance?
He does not know.
Couldn't they just have him die? Just one non-tropey thing. Even that would have been a tropey thing, though. Damn.
The worst movie on this by far is Jurassic World Rebirth. That one thing I will say, one thing I would take away from the takeaways from the summer slopbuster season are superhero movies really are done. It's not bad movie fatigue; it's superhero fatigue. Okay, because if there's a lot of cope on this because I went on to the main X post that showed the box office for all the superhero movies, and then they're basically all flops. And the cope was hard. I mean, there was some serious copium going on in the comment section. And look, it isn't bad movie fatigue. Jurassic World made $700 million. Lilo and Stitch made over $1 billion, I think. How to Plagiarize Your Dragon made a fucking ton of money. These are god awful movies, and they made a ton of money. Right? Superman is shit, and Superman's a superhero movie, but it at $600 million.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all it made?
People are the audience will eventually get sick of, and they are sick of watching, heroes in spandex save the day. They're done with it. They really are. I'm seeing predictions that Avengers Doomsday is going to bomb, and it might because it has a massive budget. It's going to be the most expensive movie ever made, probably. Mm-hmm. I mean, just RDJ's salary alone is like 50-60 million or something insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that film is going to be That's going to be the Wagnerian Brunhilde's immolation of this whole thing. It's just one gigantic, huge thing that has to explode and then combust, and that's the end of it. It's going to be great.
Have you seen any of these, Kristen? Have you seen any of these?
I saw Thunderbolts, and I know you disagree, but I liked it, but kind of like outside of being a superhero movie. And I think you're right about the superhero fatigue. We're all just sick of it. And, I grew up on X-Men and X-Men fan fiction. Don't tell anybody. So for me to be in a place of superhero fatigue, it's bad. I think we're just all sick of it. And knowing how movies are going to end, and it's so much slop. Like Formula One, I didn't see it. The preview looked good. Brad Pitt looks good. I know how it's going to end. I know pretty much every beat just from watching the trailer, and I don't care. And Superman, absolutely don't care. And I'm definitely with you on the live action remakes. I have never seen a single one of them. Yuck. No, I refuse.
Yeah, and
you know how they could the way they could get me into the cinema is if they do half-hour contracted packages of these films. So you can go in and you can watch half an hour of the racing from F1 and then go home again. And then you can go to Mission Impossible and watch the half-hour package of the flight sequence. If they did that in little micro things, you might actually bring
the
in
interesting thing about Mission Impossible, like could it, so you know what fan editing is, where fans will take a movie and they'll try to edit it into something much better. Mission Impossible, there's like 30 minutes of exposition. You could get it straight out, just edit straight out of that. You could, a fan could take that movie and make it better, but it'd still be shit though. It's really bad, that Mission Impossible movie. And Rebirth, I think Rebirth will have killed the Jurassic World franchise. The next one, because it's diminishing returns, that made 700 million, which is a lot, but it's less than the previous one, and that one was less than the previous one. I think 4 movies in a row now has made less than the previous one in the Jurassic World franchise. And Rebirth was so bad. Like, it was somehow worse than the previous 3. That's an astounding achievement. It might finally kill this rotten franchise. I hope it does.
You remember in the first film where Dr. Grant is eating a Snickers bar and then the wrapper of it goes into an air vent and that causes all the events.
It's Final Destination now. It's just turned into Final Destination, which, by the way, the last Final Destination movie was awesome and was better than everything on that screen.
I need to watch the shit out of that. Yeah. But I
actually saw that as well. Yeah. Final Destination is not my thing, but I did laugh. I did have a good time. Yes.
Well, I'm most pissed off because, Random, your video from last year, the first Mission Impossible film was one of my favorite videos, with you and your gruff stentorian tones dissecting all its lunacy. And then I get denied that because this film doesn't have enough in it for it to attract you to do a second. So I feel bummed out about that.
I mean, I might do it at some point. Really, my thought process with it was, do I care? And I had to be honest and just be like, I don't care. I did not enjoy that movie, but I didn't hate it anywhere near as much as the previous one, but that's probably because my expectations were set.
Okay. Well, I look at the screen and I have a very airy sense of, if you imagine what all of these films are at their most mid and meh, and it's like 3/4 of that. That's my big takeaway of watching all this stuff. It's a very airy, strange experience. And with superhero people, it just looks like people in costumes and it feels a bit awkward. That's what's creeping in. It just doesn't look authentic anymore. It looks weird. So that ship has sailed. And then the other thing that I thought is that F1, if it was 2019, that film would have just utterly disappeared because it would be not especially significant and amongst a whole bunch of good content. Like even Ford versus Ferrari, was way better. So it's strange. Yes. I love Ford versus Ferrari. I wish it had a bigger audience.
Maybe, and it has interesting characters, like Christian Bale's character in that. It's an interesting character. It's someone who is profoundly flawed, not socially retarded, but sort of borderline socially retarded. But he's sort of brilliant at a couple of things. He's like almost autistic. That's a really interesting character to examine. If you took the F1, this very tropey movie, and put some interesting characters in there, as opposed to just character templates that are barely characterized, like they're barely even feel like people. Do something a bit more interesting, you could have a much better movie. But that, as I said, I still think F1 is decent. It's watchable. It's the best movie there, and you can have it's a one and done movie. It's a fun one and done movie, and it's like a good date movie kind of thing. You can have a good time with it.
Well,
You know,
you say that until they make F2. This time it's personal, which will become an N.
with Ford versus Ferrari, like, I remember growing up and there were just a lot of men like that, kind of staunch, but also kind of really eccentric and a little bit off kilter. I miss that kind of generation of men. I think I probably just saw the very end of that. So yeah.
Oh, and we forgot, what about War of the Worlds? I really liked War of the Worlds. I'm telling you, man, if you watch it at 1.5x speed, it's a good time. There's a guy on YouTube. He did a compilation of all of Ice Cube's reactions. Just that 6-minute video. If you don't want to watch the movie, just watch that 6-minute video. It's brilliant. It's just hilarious. It's a meme goldmine.
There's some beautiful footage where you can actually see reflected in his glasses. You can see the green screen panels reflected in his glasses.
All the explosions in it are hilarious. I am not kidding. I know for a fact that I could do a better job of the special effects in some scenes in that movie, because what they've done is they've got the really horrible green screen explosions and these are just stock explosions like they've taken from YouTube. Yeah. I could do that, but what I would do is I would darken it and I would add rain or fog or something to make it a little bit less noticeable, and it would look better, or it wouldn't look as hideous. But I don't know, maybe the fact that it looks so bad is one of the reasons it's good, because the CGI is just, it's hilarious. It's like something a 14-year-old did in their bedroom.
Yeah, I think the part of that movie where I realized that I was watching something truly special is when Ice Cube is looking through his Facebook memories and then like the aliens start eating his Facebook. Like, I'm not joking. If you don't... He goes through like the messages from his wife, and the aliens are eating the messages one by one. They start getting deleted. It's gold.
And like half the internet, all the internet disappears except the internet that the plot needs. That part of the internet remains. It's great. It's actually one of my favorite movies of the year. It really is. Not even kidding. It's a great trasher piece.
Great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. So that's going to be great. Okie dokie. So, according to Variety, Disney's Boy Trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggles. And I'll read from the article. Leadership at Disney is pressing Hollywood creatives for movies that will bring young men, ages 13 to 28, aka Gen Z, isn't that like Gen Alpha now? I don't even know. Back to the brand in a meaningful way, specifically original concepts. Sources say Disney has been seeking new IP in pitches such as splashy global adventures and treasure hunts. The calls come as the Star Wars machine struggles to produce any film project, and the superhero genre sheds audiences by the minute. So, Random, I tried to quantify this from their perspective. So I jotted down this note. In its pivot, Disney is reaching out to and soliciting young men, establishing touch points during their formative years, using entrance strategies to achieve deep market penetration through a concerted campaign thrust, using a wraparound approach to drive frictionless entry into media access points, monitoring young men's behavior patterns, and seeding its offerings to achieve full exposure and acquire as many of these young men as possible, owning the young male space to create sticky experiences and gain conversions by servicing as many young men as possible. Would you agree that's the strategy?
I'd agree that you have a special skill to be able to read something like that and keep a straight face.
Yeah. So I go back to this idea that for the last decade, Disney is trying to be kind of like universalizing Marvel and Star Wars into something like civic property, like brands for everyone, and it didn't work very well. So yeah, they're kind of like trying to crawl their way back to young men that they kind of left behind. So it seems very cynical and it seems very inorganic. It's not like naturally developing storytelling that wants to, express stories full of the verve and of boyhood. It's just like a corporate strategic shift, which feels artificial and phony and contrived. So I don't think they're going to do it very well. And I also think that they're not going to appeal to the kind of Treasure Island, Swiss Family Robinson, Flight of the Navigator type boyhood stories. They're going to have what they have in their mind of, a more modern, sensitive, more gender neutral type of boys stories, because that's just the way they are now. So I think they're going to screw it up, even if they do try and do a pivot.
Well, even
Yeah, I
if
don't think
corporate is, on board and they're like, all right, because corporate still is largely male, even if they actually want to do it correctly, they've purged all the writers' room of
Mhm.
straight white men over 40. They're just gone. They have been excised. And so now you have a bunch of fat women with queer children and purple hair who are being directed from on high. Okay, well, we need to win men back. And so they're just it's like the child eating their vegetables. And so whatever they come out with, yeah, maybe they'll dial down, the woke stuff, but the idea that they can speak to young men in any meaningful way or tell a story that they will resonate with, let alone have the male fandoms where they get into like the autism-y, details and fan art and all of the things that men, when they're really passionate about a story, do, is laughable. There's no way that they can do that. Absolutely not. The writers' rooms are screwed.
I feel that when I'm watching content now, there's this kind of, I don't even know how to phrase it, like a kind of meta mise-en-scène where you're watching the product, but you're also watching socio-cultural considerations and self-inserts and positioning and ratios and percentages and gender dynamics. And so you're kind of like in this weird kind of psychological way, clenched and suspicious of the thing that you're watching whilst you're also trying to enjoy it. It's a dynamic that I don't like and I'm very conscious of. And it turns me off a lot of entertainment because it breaks the spell.
Greg made an excellent point in his video. He said Disney are not going to succeed in their effort to attract men to the brand because their starting proposition is wrong. So they're not saying maybe we should make stories that people actually want to see, or maybe we need to bring hot romance back into movies. Like they haven't had a love interest for a Disney princess, I think, in well over 10 years now.
God, that's a good question. What will be the last one?
Or I don't know. I don't watch the Disney princess movies, but
yeah,
I think it might have been Frozen, or like the first Frozen or something.
Even then, that's more.
Frozen doesn't count. Well, it's been a while since I've seen Frozen, but wasn't the whole point of Frozen that it was kind of subverting that trope? The whole true love kiss was.
I've never seen it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And with Frozen, it really worked because, it was the first time that they did it. And it was between two sisters. And, it kind of poked fun at itself in a good-hearted way. It's like, what do you mean you fell in love with a guy you met 2 days ago? Because in reality, that's preposterous. But we were expecting that to be the case.
I've seen women fall in love with guys they met, or become infatuated with guys they met, and they'll not fall in love, but they'll become obsessed with them really fast.
Oh yeah, that's
absolutely
totally
happens.
Yeah. But I think it was the engagement, and they were just talking about, okay, well, yeah, that doesn't happen. And because we were expecting them to fall in love, and then it turns out that the prince was kind of a scumbag and she shouldn't have become infatuated with him. And so it worked. And that her true love's kiss was her sister who she loved. But then they just kept doing it. And now it's like, you can't have true love between a man and a woman because reasons I'm not sure.
You know what really would have happened if they were being realistic? Like the sister would have said, "Oh, you should totally not go to him," and she was like, "No, I can totally fix him. I can totally fix him because he's a bad boy, and she wants the bad boy." And then the sister gets jealous, and then he starts sleeping with the sister, and then the two sisters sort of argue and have this breakup. That's what really would have happened.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem with the Disney have is that they're not asking the right question. It's not how do we get men back. It's maybe we should start making good sci-fi stories again, or we should bring hot romance back into movies, or let's make really great stories that connect with people on a deep level. That's what they should be going after, not how do we get men. They're thinking of individuals, of human beings in terms of demographics, in terms of groups. And you can do that to an extent, but that's all they do. That's all they do. They think of people entirely as representatives of an identity group, not as individuals who can engage with a story.
Well, why is Disney now an overseer of other properties? Like, if they have Marvel, they didn't create that. They didn't create Lucasfilm. They didn't create Pixar. What is their actual funneled content that they're coming up with? Where's that gone?
It would be the remakes, right? Because they've dialed back on doing original animated films, and they're putting most of their money and effort into remaking the ones that were. But then even then, like they're not just a remake. Like from what I've heard, I know that. How to Train Your Dragon is not Disney's DreamWorks, but that is a essentially shot-for-shot remake. Like it's virtually the same movie. That's not the case for something like Lilo and Stitch. Like with that, they haven't just remade it; they've re-envisioned it, they've updated it, quote unquote. So I guess they have the option of not doing that, and taking something like, I don't know, Mulan. Well, the thing is, now I'm going to struggle to name one that they haven't remade because they've remade all of the biggest ones.
Yeah, that's another. There's nothing left to destroy. I think they're going to go after Sword in the Stone, and there's not many. There was an animated version of Robin Hood. I think they're going to destroy that. But there's very few. I mean, these are basically B movies in the Disney canon. There's one called The Black Cauldron. They're going to rape that, but they've run out. All the big ones are gone. Like Snow White was supposed to do over $1 billion. That was the big flagship. That tanked. So
good.
They're going to do what's that one with The Rock? They're going to remake a recent one with The Rock.
Moana.
Did they do that already?
They did that already.
What?
No, the live action Moana didn't. Was it not Moana 2 that came out? Because they were doing both. They made an animated sequel and then a live action remake.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen either of them. I can't remember which one is out.
That's how forgettable this rubbish is. Like, I honestly don't even know if they did it already, but they've basically burned their entire canon with their remakes. So there's nothing left to remake that anyone wants to watch. And they're going to remake The Force Awakens, which was a remake of A New Hope. Like, they've just run out of stuff to remake, to readapt.
Okay, but I need you to figuratively put on 30 pounds, take on a whole bunch of progressive attitudes, sit in a writer's room, give me the modern Maid Marian, which she's going to be like in a remake.
All right. The modern maid, obviously she's black. That goes without saying.
Absolutely.
She's not gay, but she's queer adjacent. Queer adjacent. I mean, queer coded, I think, is a little bit too subtle. I think that's very 2019. We want to update it and sort of and accept that it's more part of the mainstream now. Queer adjacent, possibly trisexual, and she's a morally ambiguous character. She sits somewhere between heroic and villainous, and it's really about her finding out how to empower herself through the people around her, as opposed to just following the patriarchally dictated morals of the day. I think that's what a modern audience wants to see.
Is she really
modern Maid Marian?
Is she perhaps Middle Eastern or Moorish from background, which means she could have like cultural tattoos as well? And does she infiltrate the sheriff of Nottingham's castle, and she seduces him so he can't resist her? He's like in a daze.
But you're relying on the old
She seduces him.
Having to rely on their sexuality.
I'm subverting that trope. No, let me finish. I'm subverting that trope.
Well, you're not finished. Get out. You're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here.
No, because he is bewitched by her.
We don't want you in this writer's room anymore.
Excuse
You're done.
me.
You're done.
I've
been triggered. You've triggered a lot of other people in the writer's room. We're done here. And
no, what I'm saying is that she bewitches him with her charms, and then she stabs him, or so that's the subversion that she's going to do there. There's also going to be a very key scene where the Robin is pulled back his bow and he's about to shoot the target, but then an arrow goes flying past him, and then we pan back to see her, and she's actually shot the arrow into the thing. So that's
I love it.
As well, I think.
But then you need to make Robin Hood look like an imbecile as well. So he pulls his arrow back and it's drawn. She fires 2 arrows. One which shoots his arrow out of the way, and the other which hits the target. So she fires both simultaneously.
And as a matter of fact, she taught him to use the bow.
Exactly.
True, yeah. I think that Little John is going to be, we're going to cast the guy who was the fat Jedi in The Acolyte, and he's going to have the same costume, so we can just transport him across. So that's fine. Yeah, that's about it. So I think we solved that one. So any last thoughts on Disney? Because if you actually had pure Disney content, it'd be like 1% of the actual output of original Disney content. Strange.
I mean, Variety article itself was utterly disgusting because it placed the blame on men. It said, they're stunted in their growth, they're immature, they're obsessed with video games, they've been stunted by COVID, and it's like, fuck you, Variety. As if anyone, never mind, what does Disney offer that young men would want? It's just god-awful garbage. It's utter fucking trash. Like the Star Wars stuff is just laughably awful now. Marvel is so fucking boring now. Like, look at Fantastic Four. A lot of people say that movie is mid. Name one great scene. Name one good scene. Like, it's so bland.
The scene
Sorry, go ahead,
the scene where Reed Richards is like, a planet is no different to an egg, so therefore I'm going to teleport a planet. That made me cackle. So I'll give it that.
But I mean, it's all the characters are really bland. They're like watered down versions of human beings. They barely feel real. They don't have personality. They're not interesting. They're boring as fuck to watch. Galactus is a moron. He's been completely lobotomized. The Silver Surfer doesn't make any sense in terms of her morals, and she's also an idiot. It's a shit movie full of badly written characters. It's dull. It doesn't have any good scenes, and it's all very forgettable. I mean, even the main villain arc of there's a villain going around destroying planets, and now this villain is coming to Earth. That's the Marvels. That's the villain plot of the Marvels. Like, this thing
was it?
Like, that's how bad it is. And this is the kind of stuff that Disney is producing, and then they wonder why men don't show up. It's so fucking boring.
Well, here's the quote. Numerous studies show that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19 lockdowns. Not the easiest segment to grasp. But what's surprising producers, writers, and other partners in the larger industry is that Disney has been calling for original concepts to lure the demo back to the movies. So this is couched in terms of the company effectively having to cajole a wayward group to coax them out of their dithering self-exile, without the merest hint that anything could be wrong on their side, that they're producing boring shit content that guys don't want to watch. It's so sanctimonious and out of touch.
Oh, it's so gross. Yeah, if you could just stop sucking and watch our stuff, that would be great. Like, it's just dripping with condescension. And Variety, of course, is the publication that sends that atrocious man to the red carpet. Is this the gayest thing ever? That's that publication. So, same tone.
This this perspective is kind of making me, you know how like with if you're making a war movie or whatever, you might have like an expert to make sure that like the guns are all accurate, all the rest of it. It's making me think that they're just going to like hire a Gen Z man and bring him into the writer's room and just be like, you fix our problem. Tell us, how do we get the other yous into the cinema?
Yeah, we need the Boy Whisperer, which conjures up even more dodgy stuff.
Let's go to Disney Plus and see what men realistically would want to watch. Can you see that?
What have you got?
So here's what's new on Disney Plus. I think you can see that, yeah.
This to the state. I got to remove mine first and then put yours up, and then that should look like.
So you've got Thunderbolts and plus the other stuff, which is very dull. The Kingdom. I don't know what that is. Alien Earth. My God.
That's the Kansas City Chiefs. Keep in mind, they're getting rid of Hulu and bringing all the Hulu stuff over to Disney Plus. And so what you're seeing is an amalgam of two separate streaming services and still.
Like Inside the Eyes of Wakanda, Freakier Friday, Project Runway, Season 2. King of the Hill, if you're interested, Season 14. Why they brought back King of the Hill, I didn't even know.
Never understood. Yeah.
I've heard good things.
Like The Bear, which I attempted to watch, I just got really bored of it, man. I don't get it. Maybe it's an American thing. Maybe Americans love this because it's about food. It's okay. I just was bored of it. Andor's pretty good, though, to be fair. Then Ahsoka, fucking trash. You get the point. That's all the new stuff there. There's really nothing that Fantastic Four, which we have discussed. Hulu comedies. I mean, look at this rubbish. Effeminate men. Not at all something that would appeal to young guys. That's what a comedy is now. It's just effeminate pansy-ish men. It's rubbish. What here appeals to young guys? Like, I can't see anything.
No. Yeah.
It's just, nothing. I mean, more adult cartoons. The Simpsons season 428, Family Guy season 332. Like, who gives a shit about any of this stuff?
Strange. Yeah, it's pretty depressing. Thanks, Disney. Just the verve and energy of Peter Pan. Like, for my video, I went back and watched a little bit of Swiss Family Robinson and Old Yeller and original Peter Pan stuff. It's strange. It's like watching something from a vanished age, just the simple idea of boyhood, which can be full of gruesomeness and valor and energy. it's strange. It's like something from a time warp now. It'd be very weird for Disney to do anything like that. Poor Bobby Driscoll there. Disney just dumped him, and he ended up in a pauper's grave in New York from dying of drugs. Poor bloke.
That's the Peter Pan actor there. That's a shame.
Yeah, they did not their child.
So, Kristen, run us through here, because I'm pretty down in the mouth about publishing.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, this was an absolute mess. Okay, so over on Twitter, there is a lovely aspiring author who specifically wants to be picked up by TradPub, name of Jordan Lee. I didn't know this lady, but then I started seeing vague tweeting like, well, if this Jordan person wants to recover her career, here's what she could do. And I'm like, surely not Jordan Peterson. What is going on here? And then I would ask the poster, oh, well, what happened? I must have missed the drama. No one would respond to me. No one would say, oh, well, there was XYZ, until finally someone said, oh, I blocked this toxic person because of what they did to Jordan. And then I was able to trace it back. Jordan posted, and this is a trend apparently among those who are querying reasons I think I'm being rejected. And, some of them are very humorous. Some of them are very sad. It's a good trend. And hers was, she's writing young adult dystopian, which is still, kind of, they push that aside after the whole Hunger Games Divergent thing. And that's still on the down. Fine, valid. First in the trilogy. And then she said, I'm a straight cis white female who writes straight cis females. That's the one they latched onto and started swarming her. All of the usual suspects. How dare you? You're privileged. You don't get to say that. And here's the second tweet where she tried to say, okay, the reason that I said that is because I have seen several instances where they specifically, like she has there in her tweet, they are interested in non-straight romances and they are interested in non-white characters. And then other ones that she mentioned in later tweets where they said they were looking specifically for non-white authors. She was repeating what she saw on these agents' manuscript wish lists. They put it in print. They put it on social media. But because of the fact that she noticed the pattern, she's transphobic, she's homophobic, she's a bigot, she doesn't recognize her privilege. And they were hectoring her. You must apologize. You must admit your guilt. And like most people, she couldn't handle that heat and nuked her whole account. Yeah. So I wrote this article. It was like, look, you just need to give these fucking assholes the finger because they're trash. They never liked you and they'll never forgive you because they're driven by envy and spite. They're garbage. She came back to Twitter and she's trying to do that. She's just very dispirited by that. But I'm just like, look, don't give up on writing because of these idiots.
Only a mediocre writer can't write from perspectives that don't match their own. Why should your book be published when your writing apparently isn't up to par with industry standard?
And she's not allowed by the rules of woke. She's not allowed to write from other perspectives that don't match her own. She's not allowed to step on the voices of queer authors by writing queer characters, apparently.
Yeah. Well, this is the doom loop that someone like me is in now, which is agents aren't especially interested in stories from a straight white male perspective. But then if I tried to write a story which wasn't from that perspective, the feedback would be, you're not someone who can write these stories from your perspective. So it's just this ridiculous doom loop.
Yeah.
How about, and that's just a thought, we check our white cis het privilege and instead of whining, try to uplift those who are right now actively being silenced and erased.
White straight people are being silenced and erased from the literary world, you idiot.
It's painful stuff. And then this is the agent who then had to do like this piece by piece, it's come to my attention. I requested material from an author unkind and ill-intentioned in the writing community. While participating in these pitch events, we only glance at the pitches. We scroll a hashtag with thousands of tweets. And then she does like a whole session of these things, trying to walk back her grievous error of actually looking at this manuscript.
Yeah, because she had requested a full. And then, I rescind that. I didn't realize she wasn't liked on Twitter.
Imagine like Norman Mailer. How would she feel about him? It's come to my attention. I requested material from an author unkind and ill-intentioned in the writing community. Kristen, as I was saying before, like for 15 years, I've always given the benefit of the doubt to traditional publishing as an industry when it comes to opinions and perspectives. But now I feel that for me, first of all, literary fiction, second of all, male straight white author, third writing interesting male themes embedded in there, not as like the point, not the gist, but in there. And I no longer feel that good enough is good enough. And it's not sour grapes, it's not neuroses or resentment, it's a cold clinical perspective now, and it's sad, and it's doing a number on me, to be honest, because it's not how things should be.
Yeah, it's like that statement, the world you grew up in doesn't exist anymore, and that's true in general, and it's especially true for the publishing industry. When I'm 43, and when I was a teenager, the idea of getting picked up by a publisher and having your book in bookstores, like, that was an amazing accomplishment, and that means that your work is good and that people can read your stuff and that you're going to make money, not a great living, but you can make a living even just from the one book. And none of that is true anymore, but the industry keeps pretending that it is, and many people just keep that mental model even though it's just not true.
Well, I just had to break it down in iterations. And I thought, what is that luster that I'm after? And I looked at footage of the British Book Awards, which they call the Nibbies. And my impression was, when I really broke it down, I don't want to hang out with any of those people. Those people don't seem cool or relatable. They all seem kind of flaky and a bit soft. And then I looked at, and I thought, if I went into a Waterstones or an American equivalent, and amongst all the god-awful, gaudy color schemes of book titles, I don't especially think there's like a prestige in being on one of those plinths. And, to be in the company of authors that I esteem, that would be a huge thing. That would be fantastic. But apart from that, I don't even think like the money to be made in traditional publishing would be all that different in terms of like a really good coordinated, marketing initiative using KDP. And I don't think there's too much of a discrepancy anymore. Plus, you're getting all of the money for that. So when I break it down in iterations like that, it's something that was so steely, bone deep in my persona and my perspectives. And I'm just starting to break it down now. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it's just what I'm going through.
I think it is. And author John Douglas had an article yesterday that came out on Substack where he talked about kind of the scattering of the media landscape, where we don't have one monoculture anymore. I mean, yeah, Barnes and Noble still exists, Amazon still exists, but the little things that we're into, and the things that make the American consumer or the worldwide consumer very excited, it's very scattered, it's very atomized. And so you could have an author making $400,000 a year on writing their Warhammer stuff, and you've never heard of him and you don't know what he looks like, but in a certain corner he's really famous, and it's kind of like that now.
Well, like we were talking about Velvet Sunset, an AI created band on on Apple and Spotify, which got like 500,000 downloads. But 500,000 downloads isn't a great deal anymore. That's just like over here in this tiny little quadrant. And then I think of the straight white men who were the authors that I esteem, who are out there. Not many of them are young. It's all Ian McEwan, Alan Hollinghurst, Damon Galgut, all those guys, Salman Rushdie. They're all in their 70s now. So that whole generation is phasing out. So that's the other thing. So, getting a review in The Guardian or Observer, like, how much does that actually mean to me? It doesn't actually mean that much. So I'm going through a perspective shift. That's where I'm at. Won't somebody think about the cis white female author and her cis white female characters? Boo fucking who? White people and their audacity. Oh, just for this, I hope you never get an agent. So thanks, Jean Moreau. Fucking hell. So anyway, I used ChatGPT. What I did is I spent a week generating back and forth with ChatGPT to create what is the most likely to get published book in the current marketplace. And so ChatGPT and I went back and forth to create the perfect query letter and the perfect sample chapter. And this is the most refined and perfect we could get. And then I sent it out. I got ChatGPT to generate the first chapter. Kristen, you know what it's like. You could send out to 50 agents and maybe you get one or two things. I sent out to 10 agents, and so far I've got 2 full requests for this artificial book that I created. So I'll read you the premise. Dear Agent, I'm seeking representation for my novel Mutuals, 75,000 words, a debut in the tradition of Dolly Alderton, Raven Leilani, and Meg Mason. Set in the curated vulnerability of post-Me Too womanhood, Mutuals is an exploration of heartbreak and performance in the age of digital sincerity. Yasmin is 26, broke adjacent, and ghostwriting influencer captions from her East London flat. Her job, to make pain palatable, packaged between SpawnCon and salt lamps. But when a raw, accidental caption about her own breakup goes viral under a client's name, she becomes a reluctant voice for a kind of digital grief she's never allowed herself to feel. As the internet projects meaning onto her words, Yasmin has to decide whether to keep crafting content or finally tell the truth, or at least her version of it. Then, recognizing himself in the posts, her ex reappears, along with the new girlfriend who has been shaping the life Yasmin thought she might get to live. Mutuals is voice-led, culturally current, and laced with dry humor and emotional ache. It speaks to the contradictions of modern femininity, what we lose when everything becomes public, and what it means to be seen in fragments and liked for the wrong reasons. The novel has strong book club appeal, TikTok-adjacent themes, emotional labor, digital burnout, the performative soft girl, and the kind of meme quotable lines that live beyond the page. It's intimate but shareable fiction for the millennial and Gen Z reader who grew up online and is now quietly burnt out by it. So that's got 2 full requests, even though it's entirely made up by AI in the space of like a day. So that's where we're at.
That's why I laugh at the AI purists, because they're like, it's crap and I'll never read any of it. I'm like, I promise you, girlie, you already read it and you loved it. Shut up.
What I find interesting about that is that as a narrative, nothing actually happens.
Yep, absolutely.
A woman sits in front of her computer, and the book is a description of her emotions. That's what I'm getting from it. So it's essentially, it's a non-narrative exploration of the female psyche in the digital age. It sounds like one of the most boring fucking things I could imagine reading. Do people actually enjoy this kind of rubbish?
Well, I put in a whole bunch of interesting. I tried to think of as many tropes as I could to stimulate and tickle neuroses. And it turns out that her mother was very strict and disapproving and could never affirm her. So Yasmin got into...
Well, while you're reading this, I'm thinking of
the emotional superiority.
The reader feels seen. That's what happens.
Yeah, the reader feels seen, exactly. She hooks up with... she wants to get back with her ex. That could be one thing. But then there's this lovely chap who's an entrepreneurial guy who's like nice. And you think that she's going to go with him, but then she just explodes and she goes out and partying and takes ecstasy and sleeps with a bohemian guy. So now there's 3 guys in circulation. So there's tons of things. And then what happens to her is that her mother was disapproving and never gave her the approval as a child. So that's why she got into this industry of taking on clients and trying to shape their identities and win their approval. And then you have the emotional catharsis there. Like this just stuff writes itself. It takes a day to write this shit. So that's where the novel comes from. Fucking hell. God damn it. So I'll keep you all updated about the state and progress of Mutuals, because I think there's a good chance it could actually get published, which means I then have to have the difficult situation of getting a woman to actually to pretend to be me, who's pretend to be the author of this, to talk to the agent to get around like that. So I don't know.
I can do a passable English accent if you need me. So
well, yeah. Anyway, so that's the situation of that. So we were talking before about like streaming and stuff, and I was looking at the prices for all this shit. Like, how many of these things do you guys actually have?
It's just cable now. It's going full circle.
So chat, you're up. I need a number, chat. How many of these streaming services do you pay for?
I mean, I pay for Disney Plus, obviously, because I need it for YouTube, but there's nothing on there I actually want to watch. And Netflix, which is good. I would pay for Netflix because it has a lot of good new content. I'm looking forward to One Piece. K-pop Demon Hunters is an amazing movie. So I have 2, I think. So what I'm seeing here is 0 0 1 0 0 3 2 1 0. I Seal the High Seas. Only YouTube Premium. Negative. 8. Imperfect Millie says 8. I'm also on Spotify. I guess that counts because you can watch stuff on there. So Spotify, I'm on 3. Yeah, is it 3? 3. Probably. And Audible, does Audible count? That's 4.
Audible's kind of its own thing because it doesn't. Does Audible have a competitor?
Well, I mean, Audible is.
Spotify does audiobooks, so kinda.
Okay.
Kristen, just out of curiosity, how important is it for a new author to get their audiobook out on Audible? Is that essential?
It's not essential, but it does depend on your audience. So if you're writing, something that's kind of breezy, it is pretty important because a lot of the people want to listen to your book while they're doing something else. So I would say it's important. Now, if you're doing something literary fiction, military, sci-fi, those meaty, high fantasy, not as required because those people they like to sit down with their books. But like for me, I'm doing a thriller and I'm gonna have to do the audiobook. I don't want to, but I gotta.
So you do the recording process yourself in your own.
I did my own for the nonfiction because that worked really well, and I did my own for the
just use AI
for the mystery because it was first person. However, for the thriller, it's going to be a full cast. And
what are the sessions like? So how long is a vocal session when you go in to record the book?
I will do no more than 2 hours because after that, my voice starts to crack. Other people are better, but 2 hours is my max.
2 hours. And when you're just out of curiosity, how often do you make mistakes that have to be edited out? Is it one or two paragraph? Or
no, constantly. I'll stutter over my words, or I'll have like a throat click or some stupid. It's exhausting and annoying.
It is exhausting. Like that's the when I'm recording my long YouTube scripts. Random, what about you? Like how long can you go? Because your last video was 7 hours. By the way, everybody watch Random's video on Spartacus Blood and Sand. I started watching it. It's great.
Thank you.
I am interested to see what you didn't like about the first 2 episodes because I loved that show from the start.
Okay. Well, so I like it. I like episode 1 in particular, but I do not think that episode 1 is good. So it'll be interesting to see if you agree.
But yeah. When you record, because that video is 7 hours long. So how long can you go when you're recording a vocal?
So, well, that video I did sequentially because I was writing it, recording it, and editing it kind of as I went. So I'd record number 3 as I'm editing number 1, and I'm writing number 7, which is a process I've never really done before. The longest that I think I've ever recorded in one go for would be for a 3 to 4 hour video, which is easily double that in terms of speaking time. But then in that's when I press go in Pro Tools, that's that through to the end of the timeline. I don't pause it if I have to have a drink or go to the toilet or take 5 minutes or whatever. But as long as I'm drinking, then I find my voice is generally okay. And if it's not, then I stop, and I have plenty that I can get on with in editing.
Yeah, I'm probably. I don't think I've ever gone 6 hours. I've probably done 5 hours. Would have been the most I've ever done. I think I did that for my Acolyte video.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It is usually longer than I would want to do. It's just honestly, I'm sure you can relate. It's that once you're sat there going, you're kind of in the flow and you don't really want to stop. So
you don't want to. Also, if you stop, you can actually tell in the video because your voice is very warm.
Yes,
it's warmed up. And you're in flow, and then when you go back the next day, your voice is cold, and it sounds quite different. It's quite jarring in the edit when you're listening back to it.
Yeah, there are different things.
It takes a few minutes to get back to where it was.
Yeah, this is something that like singers will do. Not that I'm a singer, but I've like mixed music before. So something that singers will do is they will have sometimes extensive like vocal warm-ups that they will do. And I'm not saying that like I'm sat there in the chair, like going, for hours on end or whatever, just to like warm up my voice.
Like if you were to sing a few songs before, it does actually help.
Yeah, or honestly, even just speaking, like if maybe not after being on a podcast, but half an hour of talking with someone and then you switch on the mic, it's going to warm your voice up, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. But no, you're right. Echo is the average cost of a
they're getting like 12 to 17 bucks, I think. So getting up there.
Tubi is free though.
Yeah.
Tubi?
Yeah.
Is that though you watch a lot of ads, right?
Yes, it is free with ads. So
it says the average monthly subscription, 7 to 10. Okay, that's just wrong. I don't believe that's $7 to $10. And the average household pays between $61 and $69 per month for a bundle of 4 or more services. I'm probably not far off that once I go, with my 4 or 5 that I've got, including, Audible, Spotify, Disney Plus, Netflix, probably something else I've forgotten about. Yeah, man, it's just like cable now.
People in chat, if let me know in chat if you know who the Slots Lights guy is. And if you do, what's a name that we can give him? Turn him into an actual character. We'll give him an actual name. Someone in the chat before said, like, I should just create like a Titania McGrath character, like an AI character for if I do my Zoom meeting with a prospective agent, like create a female character and just turn it AI. I just imagine it being like Total Recall, where when do you want to get this book published? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
With everything going wrong. Yeah. Hokey doke. Why young men are opting out. The systems they move through aren't especially appealing to them. So I think there's an interesting cultural blind spot that a lot of people are struggling to get their head around. And I think I might have talked about this before, the idea that so a lot of people who are left in these spaces, academia, the humanities, publishing, all that kind of stuff, they can't psychologically allow themselves to make the correlation that when young men drop out of these things, a lot of zeitgeist energy goes with it. Kristen, if you were to ask people on the street, what are the zeitgeist novels and authors who have punched out of the closed literary sphere and become part of the popular cultural consciousness, who would you say?
I would say it would probably just be I can't even think of her name. She's the one who did that The Last of Us book that turned into Blake Lively movie Trainwreck, but only because of the movie Trainwreck with Blake Lively. So there are a lot of popular authors, but
it ends with us.
Yes, that one. Colleen Hoover.
Colleen Hoover, yeah.
So she's kind of gotten into the zeitgeist because, it's about abuse and it's about, she's got her finger on the pulse of, but that's very female. But in terms of like just mass culture, they'd be hard pressed. They'd be scattered little bits and they'd almost all be speaking directly to the female experience.
But the Fight Club train spotting type of thing, where people would read those books in the pub or it'd be fashionable to be seen with copies of them on a college campus. My attitude is that something is only genuinely cool if it's cool to both genders. So Bob Dylan, young men and young women would find that cool. Same with David Bowie. Who is in popular culture, music or literature, who is zeitgeist cool to young people of both genders?
That's hard. And I don't know if it would be fiction. I think if there was such a book, for instance, it would be something like nonfiction. It would be something like The Gift of Fear or what was that? Never Split the Difference, something where if you're holding it in the airport, someone might come up to you and be like, oh my God, I read that and I want to talk to you about it. I can't picture that happening with a recently released work of fiction. I can't even picture it between the sexes.
Yeah, and by extension, like people bemoaning the lack of young men in the humanities, but no one has ever psychologically made it permissible to say that young men might be looking at the humanities and thinking, why would I want to be part of that? In terms of finance, but it also in terms of stringent and strident identity politics and all that kind of stuff. And a sense that if you look at the humanities today, who are the vying big personalities and egos, the schools, the acolytes falling behind, these new thinkers? I don't see any of that happening in the humanities, and I'm not sure if the humanities is even capable of that kind of stuff.
Because the humanities come out of the universities, and their whole function is to squash those kinds of movements. It's like, oh, you think you have a voice that supersedes mine? Well, let me get you expelled for being problematic.
So, Random, what is the distinction between, like, it's hard to quantify, but men just being rubbish and not reading enough and not trying enough and being just kind of opting out in a negative sense. But there's this other thing that guys, especially young guys, need zeitgeist, and they need active schools and groups and clubs and that energy swirling around. If they don't see it, and then it just becomes, if they smell contrivance, they've got a sharp ear for pretense. So it's between those two things, and I think it's very subjective to say where exactly it lands. What do you think? I
am not sure, but I would say that I guess part of the issue is probably that you can now do, and you're almost encouraged to do so much purely online that you know there is a lot that you can do online, but when you don't you're not going to meet new people in real life online, which sounds like a silly thing to say, but you know it essentially would mean like your whole life at that point could very easily become an online life. You're not going to have a day off where you know, at the weekend, you're going to have people over for a barbecue or whatever. If you don't have a quote unquote normal job where you're going, you know, you have colleagues, you have friends that you know through work, anything like that, you know, people aren't going to the pub. They're not dating, at least not in a conventional way, because you might be using a dating app or something similar. Of my closest friends, I think 3 out of 4 of them are in relationships with people that they know through dating apps, which like that is just normal now. And I'm kind of glad that I've never had to interact with any of that.
Chris, there's the missing link, that thing that the Americans do, which no one else really understands, which is people go to house parties and everyone drinks from identical red cups. Like, is the house party dynamic the missing link here that's dying out?
It is, and I think that's why Gen Z and now Gen Alpha are such little spastic weirdos, because they don't have that. I remember I posted a music video from the early 2000s, Here's to the Night. It was just some soft rock anthem, but the video took place in a house party. And the kids were like, was that even real? Did you guys really do that? I'm like, yeah, we did that on a Tuesday. And they're not doing it anymore at all. And that everything is online and there's all these rules and and they're using Chat GPT to talk to each other. It's the talking phase. Damn. And they'll spend months doing it.
That's insane.
I'm like, what do you mean you're not meeting up with it? Because like I met my husband online, full disclosure, Match.com. You know, this is before the apps. This was the browser site. And, you know, we met on the app, and within 7 days we were at Outback Steakhouse for our awesome first date. The idea of, hey, let's just text back and forth for a month would have been preposterous, but that's what they're doing.
Because there's the whole thing online of, you know, women complaining TikTok that guys won't approach them anymore, and the guys thinking they don't approach the women because it's going to be seen as creepy. The house party used to be the connective tissue between those two things. It's like you're there because other people mutually sort of know you, and so there's things there, and it's kind of nice and rowdy, and you can sidle up to someone. If you take out that building block in the middle, then I think that's a big part of the problem.
And cameras too. So when I went to house parties in college, this is the early 2000s, very often someone had a camera, but it was the handheld. Everyone could see the camera. Everyone knew what was being filmed. Now everyone's got their phones. Are your conversations being screenshotted? Are you being filmed while you're trying to pitch woo to the pretty girl in the corner and being mocked on the TikTok live? And they're not interacting at all. So the idea that a guy would see a girl with a book that he loves and be like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this book. And especially if she's with her friends, he would perhaps rightfully fear that he would be labeled a creep and, oh, why are you trying to talk to me? It's very negative.
Like the consequences of failure now with the cameras, they're so much higher than they used to be, because someone of that age, if they have an awkward social interaction like 20 years ago, it's like, who cares? You know, you get drunk and you forget about it.
Yeah.
Now it could have 1 million views on YouTube the following day. So it to a lot of people, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I thank God that smartphones weren't a thing when I was, finishing grammar school in the mid 2000s, and when I started uni in 2007, nobody had a smartphone because they were really expensive. Like those early smartphones, I think the first one came out in 2007, 2008. I started uni in 2007, so nobody had them. No one could just pull out and start recording. They were recording on their shitty little phones, but the video quality was awful, and it just wasn't a habit that had developed yet. Like to pull out and record a video was quite an unusual thing. They also took up a huge amount of memory, those videos in those old flip phones and those brick phones. I just think back to how much of an absolute bollocks I made of myself so many times in uni, like house parties, massively striking out with girls in the most embarrassing way you can imagine. And just thank God none of it is online, Yeah.
I just saw a film the other day, and it's just a scene where it's a house party, and it just looks kind of rubbishy from an initial context, they're just outside in the back garden, and there's like the old iron clothesline, and someone's playing music in a stereo, and people just kind of dancing, and it's the sunset. And I just felt an intense pang of nostalgia and pathos for that, because it's so important. And I just hope we don't lose that element. Okay, well, just for you, I wanted to go through modern terminology, neologisms, and all that kind of stuff, and we need to put them in a tier.
List.
So let's see if I can do this. I'll try and share it like this so you guys can see. So here's the neologisms list. And we have to decide if it's from the bottom up, played out or semi-legitimate, mild cringe, severe cringe, or toe-curlingly irredeemable, or actually harmful. So those are your categories. And we'll start with, we'll just start from here. We'll just go with incarcerated people. So not people in prison.
So not prisoners or cons or convicts, incarcerated people. So the word incarcerated is used to make them victims, to make it appear as if something has been done to them.
Yeah, exactly.
To make them the subjects of oppression and injustice. Incarcerated people. It's such a tortured construction. It'll never make its way into mainstream parlance because it's too tortured and it's too effortful and it's too obvious what's being done here. So I would call this mild cringe because it's just so ineffective. It's such a poor piece of newspeak. It's such a weak piece of propaganda. It just doesn't work. So it's mildly amusing, but it's, as soon as someone says incarcerated people, I know immediately, okay, yes, that is a leftist. Waving a flag. They might as well be wearing a trans t-shirt. So just mild cringe to me.
Okay. Random?
I think that part of it might be that like incarcerated is a long word. It's a 5-syllable word. You add people, that's 7 syllables. Inmate, prisoner, criminal. Those are all very simple words. Yeah, con. You know, everyone knows what those mean. So I feel like that is, if someone said that to me, I would be like, what is that? What are you actually, why are you saying that? It would be like speaking to an alien. I don't believe anyone would ever actually use that word unironically, but maybe.
So where are you putting it on the tier?
Mild cringe. Let's go with that.
Kristen, do you concur?
Kind of. Now, full disclosure, I work and have worked for some time as a law enforcement and corrections technical writer. So if you're in jail, you haven't necessarily been convicted. And so you are either a detainee or prisoner. Prisoners have been convicted, detainees have not. So when I hear incarcerated people, I think, oh, they're just lumping in the detainees with the prisoners because they're separate things. So that was where my mind went. But yeah, but you're right. It's
well,
left.
You can recuse yourself if you wish.
Yeah, they're trying to fudge it. I know what they're doing. Oh, we can't call them cons. That might indicate they're bad people. They're not trying to be technically correct. They're trying to fudge what's happening. So I would say mild cringe. I agree. Yeah,
we're going into mild cringe then. All right, chest feeding. So this is a NHS guidance booklets about potential trans parents. You don't want to say breastfeeding, so I think chest feeding would be a more suitable term that the NHS has used in some of its literature.
Yeah, this is very much a backfire. Anytime the NHS or anyone has used this, they're immediately accused of being Orwellian and woke. So it never had any effect other than to make the NHS look like a pack of woke morons under the control of ideologues. So, and I think the term has died out completely. So I can't say that it's harmful. It is severe cringe though, like chest feeding. Also, it was part of the attempt at the latter end of the trans movement to essentially redefine women out of existence. So in that sense, it was very pernicious and evil, but it was also cringe and vaguely funny because it was such a horribly tortured construction. I would just call it severe cringe.
Random?
I'm going to agree with severe cringe. The thing that stops it from going higher is that it is so like blatant that you know who you're talking to when someone uses that word. And it just serves to make the people trying to get that word to be a thing look like idiots more than actually accomplishing what they want
Right.
what they want to happen. And I mean, my wife is a fairly normal person, and she thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And she was like, I mean, it's the same with like the birthing person that I guess we'll get to later. Like, if that happens when we have kids, she's just going to be like, no, can I speak to a human being, please?
I'm picturing you at your 30th wedding anniversary toasting in front of a crowd saying, my wife is a fairly normal person. Nice. So Kristen, where are you putting chest feeding?
I would put that solidly at actually harmful.
Really? Wow.
I will never forget the disgusting footage of a male who has taken drugs to make some kind of substance leak from his chest and stick that into an infant's mouth. I feel like language paves the way to make things acceptable, and there are some things that are not, and I think that's one of them.
Wow.
Women breastfeed, women have the gear to do that, and males don't, and taking drugs won't change that. It's horrible to me.
Well, so I guess I have to, I would put it, so between me and Kristen, I'm going to elevate it to severe cringe because she makes an interesting particular case study there. Okay. Latinx, which study after study has shown that actual Latino and Latina people think is a stupid term that none of them recognize. I think like 4%, some of actual Hispanic people actually like this term, but for some bizarre reason, it persists that they try and want to make it a thing. It's so
I've
strange.
seen it in the Guardian. I would just call it severe cringe. It's a perfect example of white liberals condescending to people they consider to be essentially considered to be beneath them, people who need to be condescended to and need to be kind of shepherded to safety by their, white saviors. It's horrible. It's just such a it is a white savior term. I hate it. I fucking despise it. And it's so horrible. Latinx. That's how it reads. It sounds like some sort of strange wildcat. It's toe-curdlingly irredeemable, and everyone hates it. Everyone hates it, but it does have this kind of persistence in the dark corners of the Guardianista internet. It just won't quite die. Although I don't know, after Trump won, the Democrats were looking at their numbers, and they lost a lot of Latinos. And
20%.
One of the
since 2012.
because it's shit like this. It's shit like calling people, and apart from anything else, the very notion of Latinos is an astoundingly culturally chauvinistic idea. Like, everyone south of Texas is just, they're all the same people called Latinos. That's it. That is such a they don't even realize how condescending and chauvinistic that is. There's many different races and different language groups and different peoples that exist in that part of the world. They're not all part of one big group called Latinos or Latinxes or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Like, Chileans and Mexicans are very different people. Argentinians and Cubans don't have much in common when it comes down to it. I mean, they speak the same language, but when you look at their society, and one has lived under communism for half a century, Jamaicans and I don't know, Colombians, these are very, very different people. Okay, you can't just, although the Jamaicans are supposed to be called Caribbeans, but you know what I mean, like Hondurans. Stop calling them Latin, like as if they're all one people. It's fucking annoying as hell, man, when it comes down to it. I hate this shit. Totally turning me irredeemable. There you go.
It's interesting, Kristen, because like Florida Hispanics will be utterly different from like New Mexico Hispanics because they're coming from a different cultural milieu, different historical considerations. So Random, where do you put Latinx?
I need to pass on this one because I have never, this is going to be the first time I have ever used the word Latinx. I don't know what it means. I don't know why it exists. I don't understand it. I got to pass.
Fair enough. Kristen?
I would put it up with toe curling irredeemable because, like Despot said, you have the condescending, sneering racism of white people deciding that. And then there's the arrogance of turning a gendered language into a non-gendered word. Like you said, lumping them all together. And that's a surely political move because back in the day, they used to call Spanish-speaking people Spanish. That's what white people called them. Well, they didn't like that. They're like, I'm not a Spaniard. I am not Spanish. I am from Honduras. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm Dominican. And instead of acknowledging these very different peoples and the type of Spanish they speak is very different as well. You could hear it. They're like, okay, well, now you're Latino. even though the Spanish speaking country you're from is not from Latin America. But and now it's Latinx because you're not allowed to have gender, even in gendered language. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Here's a difficult one: intersectionality, because it can be used ironically, it can be used as an epithet, it can be used in an eye-rolling way. It's kind of a bit malleable. What do you think, Disbit?
I think intersectionality I find that term quite useful to describe one of the fundamental founding principles of woke, this idea that it's basically the entire world against the evil straight white male oppressor. So I find it to be quite a useful term. Intersectionality, it's not necessarily, it is a new term. It's not trying to, a lot of these words are basically they're used as replacements for older words in an attempt to bastardize the English language and to turn it into a political tool. But intersectionality is a new term. So I think it's okay. I would just call it played out or semi-legitimate. I find it to be quite a useful term.
Sure. Brandon?
I personally can't imagine ever using it myself, but that's kind of because I don't really talk about that kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I find the idea just confusing and a little bit funny, just separating people into different categories and organizing them based on how oppressed they are. I just find that like very juvenile. The word itself, I mild cringe, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, Christian.
I would say semi-legitimate because it does describe a very specific way of looking at things. So if you're looking at a rad feminist, she's not an intersectionalist, even though she's very radical and very on the left. She's still not intersectionality. So I think it's semi-legitimate.
Okay. Polycule, and for those of you not familiar, this is a portmanteau of polyamorous, in a relationship with 2 or 3 different other people, and molecule. So it's like how you organize the systems of your relationships. So you might say that you're in a polycule of 3 or 4 people.
That doesn't help me understand what that word means.
I still don't understand it. And I'm not interested in understanding it. It's a shit word. I'll just give it mild cringe.
It's 4 ugly fat people living together and doing gross sex things together.
But how's that different to just being in a polyamorous relationship? Like, what's the difference?
Well, a molecule is a system where it's more organized into, it's got a molecular structure. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you're like a family system, and you're supposed to make your parents uncomfortable by bringing your polycule to Christmas dinner. Whereas if you were just polyamorous, you would not bring.
Why not just your like your foursome or polycule?
Because it's got emotional and more systematized aspects to it of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so it's like a group of like 3, 4, 5 people who are all like banging each other. That's what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, roommates who are fucking, basically.
Well, okay, I learned something today. Okay.
So mild cringe, perhaps?
Yeah, this one is not going to catch on.
Yeah, fine, mild cringe.
There are some ads, though, like in a New York subway, they've got like an ad saying, great data so you can connect with your polycule. Some places like New York, they've got that stuff going on. Decolonize, because you can not just have decolonization in the literal sense, you can decolonize your gardening, you can decolonize a literary canon. So it's a pretty malleable term.
Yeah, the term in its actual meaning, which was mostly it was a British thing. The British voluntarily left their various colonies. So that was decolonization. That was also a mistake, mostly. But the term, it's modern. The way it's used in the modern context is horrifying. Like decolonize your gardening, decolonize your bookshelf, decolonize the curriculum. I would just say that's actually harmful because it's very Orwellian in the sense that when they say decolonize the curriculum, what they actually mean is colonize the curriculum with foreign Marxist filth. It means colonization. It means the complete opposite. So I would just say it's harmful because it really does have a harmful impact when you look at the reading materials, for example, that English students are having to study. That it's not Shakespeare, it's some African Marxist that you've never heard of because she can't write, but she, of course, it's a woman, has to be taught to kids because decolonization. It's horrible. So actually harmful for me.
I was leaning towards toe curlingly irredeemable, but you've made a good case. What do you think, Random?
Well, I didn't know what it meant until about 30 seconds ago, so I'm going to agree with everything Despot said.
Kristen, where do you land on decolonizing?
I'm going to say actually harmful, especially when you get into
Wow.
decolonizing medicine, decolonizing math,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tribal
Yeah.
other ways of knowing. It's like, you keep your fucking leeches away from me. Thank you very much.
Okay. So secondary trauma, Random, this means that when someone else expresses their trauma to you and describes it, then you get a kind of secondary trauma, like secondhand smoke from a cigarette.
What?
What
Wait,
that
so hold
actually
on.
makes sense. Like, Echo, are you not still traumatized by me describing that kiss scene, that cum kiss scene from?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Desperately traumatized.
I'm not understanding this one. So
okay, well,
if
you
I
know
get
what
hit by a
secondary
car,
smoke is, right? Yeah.
yeah, but that's really dumb. Like, so secondhand smoke is not really dumb. I'm saying that the analogy here, I don't understand the link. So if I get hit by a car and it's the worst day of my life, and then I come on the podcast and say, guys, I just had the worst day of my life, I got hit by a car, I'm inflicting an equal trauma on you guys. Is that
Well, no,
idea?
that's more situational. If you're talking about how you're having existential crises and you dredge up stuff that was traumatic from your past, then the act of listening to it for half an hour for us is going to instill secondary trauma in us by association, by proxy, you see?
No, I don't.
Basically, you're going to bum us out is what we're saying. And it's going to be like a secondary trauma.
Oh, if that's what it means, as in like bring the mood down by talking about something bad that happened, then I guess that's totally legitimate. But calling that trauma, unless feeling sad is trauma, then I don't see how secondary trauma would describe that.
But you're relating your experiences will cause us to dwell on our negative experiences that are analogous to that, which we'll only just be able to keep a simmering, chattering lid on the top of. So then we'll get secondary trauma because you'll analogously restoke our trauma.
So it'll make you recall that one time that you also got hit by a car.
Maybe, yeah. So that's the issue there.
This sounds really dumb. I don't. Where the hell do you put that? I don't. Severe cringe. Let's go with that.
Yeah,
Severe
I
cringe.
agree. Severe cringe.
Really, Christian?
I also say severe cringe with an extra wag of the finger because they're appropriating an actual helpful term. So secondary trauma used to be when we're talking about therapists who deal exclusively with child sex abuse victims, and they hear that over and over again, and they start to get traumatized from that. Oh, the world is awful. And then these wastrel idiots be like, oh, when you told me about that time when you got drunk and you had sex with that guy, that makes me really, and then you don't want to tell anybody anything. So yeah, they're appropriating what used to be a helpful term. So yeah, it's very cringe.
Okay, well, here's a very broad term, privilege. Played out?
You kind of played out, but there is some legitimacy to it because there is definitely one type of privilege which is true, and that's hot privilege. Like if you're especially for women, if you're a hot young woman, you're going to have access to a lot of people and opportunities that you won't if you're ugly, and that's just absolutely true. And I know what I'm talking about because I was a teacher for years, and I taught high school graduates. So a lot of these girls were beautiful, right? And they're at that age, like 19, 20, where they're peak, and the men are just all over them, and people want to do them favors, and people want to be nice to them, and everyone smiles at them. So that hot privilege. And then of course people who are born, I'm not even sure being born into a wealthy family is privileged because you're not incentivized to then go out and make that money, and you kind of turn into a Jaden Smith, just this utterly useless waste of space that is not in any way even functionally useful in society because you've never been incentivized to make something of yourself. I actually think that might even be a bit of a burden being born into a rich family because there's no drive there to fucking force you to do something with your life. So I don't know, but privilege, there's some legitimacy.
Because I'm in a phase of life where it can swing both ways for me. So for example, as a white man, if I'm reasonably well dressed and I'm walking in a purposeful way, I could basically shoplift anything from anywhere because no one would assume that I'm a shoplifter. So I could just do that. But if I'm in the publishing industry, my privilege is gone and it's swung completely in a different direction where I'm now kind of like pushing uphill. So it's like for me, it's like Ncuti Gatwa saying, as a black actor, there's tons of white mediocrity, and as a black actor, you have to be perfect. Now I feel as an author, as a white author, there's a ton of mediocrity out there, and I've got to be perfect. So that's what's happening in my sphere. It's very strange. So Random, where would you put privilege?
I feel like Privilege is played out or semi-legitimate because I think it is a useful word, like a genuinely useful word. I think there are a bunch of ways that people can be more or less privileged than others. Where I think it gets really dumb is when you get into the intersectional thing of being like, well, I am this, therefore, or you're that, and therefore you need extra help to do whatever it is. But no, like if you're just talking about like normal people, do I have it better off than someone else because of something that I didn't make happen? It just kind of fell into my lap. Then yeah, I guess you could say you're more privileged than that other person. So I think it has use.
Yeah, but it's a phrase that's passed out of the culture. You don't hear it very much anymore. It's kind of, I don't know. So where are you putting it, Kristen?
I would put it at mild cringe because the people who use it, it's pretty much a tell. It's like, whether they're talking about their own or someone else. Word. Yeah.
It's a tale. I'm going to remember that, Kristen. That's a good way to describe when people use certain, that's a tale. They're, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice,
okay.
Nice
othering. So,
well, othering's a great word because that's what liberal white Americans do to everyone south of Texas. They other them by calling them Latinxes or Latinos.
Yeah.
I think it's a great word.
So I guess it's if you're...
I mean, the word cisgender, the purpose of the word cisgender is to other those not in the cult. It's classic cult tactics. Like cults were really big in America in the 60s and 70s. There was an incident. It was a mass suicide. Maybe one of you know what I'm talking about.
The Jim Jones affair.
Yeah, that brought an end to the cult era. People forget about it. I think it's kind of been memory hold, but America had this obsession with cults. And one of their, it was how L. Ron Hubbard came up. He built his own wee cult during that era. And one of their main tactics was othering. So you basically make everyone outside the cult like a gringo or a stranger or an other, like choose whatever term you want to use, like the outsiders. So othering is a brilliant word. It describes that tactic a tactic which has been used most recently by the transgender movement. That's what that term cisgender is for, to other. Your parents they don't care about you. They're cisgender. You know, that's othering the non-members of the cult.
Well, where do you put it then on the scale?
Just the bottom.
Okay. Random?
I guess it's useful as like a psychological tool and understanding when it is happening. It's just that, I mean, my guess is that when it's usually used these days, that's not what it's being used for. It's being used as a weapon or an accusation or something. So no, I think I would agree. I'd put it at the bottom.
Okay. Kristen, you concur?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Body shaming played out?
Yeah, I mean the body positive movement's dead, so pretty much played out. And also because of the Ozempic thing and all celebrities losing weight, the fat celebrities, it is kind of shameful now.
I'm making an executive decision on that one. Systems of oppression.
I know Jordan Peterson despises this one because he says that the very notion of an oppression hierarchy or a dominance hierarchy is wrong. It's competence hierarchy. So he would put this one in actually harmful. And I tend to agree, because it insinuates this idea that people are at the top, not because they're competent or skilled or hardworking, but rather just because they have the machinery of oppression on their side. And this creates resentment in those beneath them. And this resentment can simmer and it can explode in random acts of violence or major riots. It really is pretty harmful to suggest that that society is structured through systems of oppression. It's an utterly disgusting Marxist idea that needs to go away.
Well, I mean, it was relevant up till maybe, I don't know, the 60s, and it's been tapering off since then. But if you're still using it now, in a hardcore, strident kind of way, that's pretty severe cringe to me. Maybe even toe-curlingly irredeemable. Where do you go, Random?
I don't have a good enough understanding of what it means to be able to tell you. I have to pass.
Random, I thought you'd be up with all this crap.
There's a bunch of words here that I have never heard or used before. So
Oh, God.
I don't know what heteronormative means. I've only heard cisgender in South Park.
Well, it's great. I get to explain them. You can be like the audience advocate then. So, Kristen, where are we putting systems of oppression?
I would put toe-curlingly irredeemable.
Yeah, I think that's where we're landing. Yeah. Okay. The unhoused. So, Random, instead of people being homeless, we need to describe them as the unhoused.
That one I could have put together, but yes,
I needed to establish a baseline. So
That's fine. Those who are bereft of house.
mhm.
That one's severe cringe, I think.
Severe
I mean,
cringe.
that's the same as what was the other one? The incarcerated people. It's the same as that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
put in
it's
the
the same thing. You could mild or severe cringe. Like it's an immediate tell. You know what they're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mild cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
if you
say
want,
mild
yeah.
cringe.
Sure.
Okay. Birthing person.
That one's just funny.
Yeah, it's probably the worst attempt, the least effective piece of propaganda they came up with in their sort of newspeak campaign.
Yeah.
Birthing person, so just played out horrible shit. It's so ridiculous that it's not even worthy of. It's beneath contempt.
Well, where does beneath contempt go?
Nowhere. Just leave it at the bottom there.
I'd
right,
say too curlingly irredeemable, because if you use that
Yeah.
word, you should be beaten with a stick.
Well,
Singapore
this
style.
is this tier's version of the Marvels, where we just left it at the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
It doesn't even, it's not
cisgender?
even warranting of our consideration. Cisgender, yeah, that can be, because I would call that actually harmful, because a lot of
mhm.
transgender teens are taught that word to teach them to hate
Yeah.
the people who are not members of the cult, or to teach them that those who aren't in our cult, they don't understand. They're cisgender. So it's a despicable term.
Yeah.
And it's a slur. It's just horrible.
Yeah. It's the idea
I
of
just
taking.
got into a spat on Twitter where they were like, it's not a slur. I'm like, yes, it is. That's why you're censoring it in the tweet. It's a filthy slur, and you know what you're doing. And I'm not having this deflection.
It's just the idea of turning it into a binary where you've got transgender and cisgender, like applying
There's
this
something-
new term to the vast overwhelming majority.
There's something profoundly primitive about it, because the Romans and the ancient Greeks did this. They referred to everyone who was not either, Roman or Greek as barbarians. So the Romans defined, everyone who wasn't Roman as barbarian, right? You could be a fairly well-educated person from, say, modern day Turkey, and you would be regarded as a barbarian because you weren't Roman. So it's this profoundly primitive, very evil term that forces people to view the world in terms of the enlightened and the unenlightened. It's just disgusting.
Are we putting this up in actually harmful?
It is,
I would. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And that just leads us to, let's see if Random can puzzle it out. So heteronormative, Random.
Oh, I have to guess what this means.
Yeah, I want to see if you can
Okay,
puzzle it out.
hetero would refer to people who are not homo,
Mhm,
which means they're straight.
mhm.
And normative would mean that you're normalizing that which is, I don't know if it's accurate to say that being straight is normal just because it's more common.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's a correct use of the word, but that would be, if something is heteronormative, it's something that reinforces and supports people being straight. Would that
Brilliant.
be accurate?
That's textbook definition.
Well
I
done.
love it.
Well done.
Yay, I got a gold star.
Despot, where are you putting heteronormative?
It's mild cringe. It's kind of played out. It's dull. It's the kind of shit you would hear from an 18-year-old like
Yeah.
uni student. They say,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
So, yeah, I think mild cringe. You'd agree, Kristen?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, oh, so you mean
All
normal?
right, so mostly mild cringe. So in a weird, I don't know, like strange, ironic way, we just sort of decided most of this is mild cringe.
Well, it's because it's so played out, and it's it's a tale. You can tell immediately. Okay, yeah, that's their worldview. So it's useful in that sense.
Yeah, I love how birthing person is down at the bottom there. That's great.
Where it belongs, yes. In the swamp.
Okay, well, I think we sorted all that out. So I'll stop sharing there.
Are we going to get to Alien? Are we discussing Alien Earth?
Oh yeah, we've got a few more things to go through. Well, first of all, just for you, Despot, I think, and maybe all three of you, I chose my three favorite literary theory passages. Now, I don't want you to puzzle out the entire meaning. All I want from you, Despot, is to use your intellect to its furthest possible limits of endurance, to just give me literally anything, any scrap of context that you can find. Are you ready?
Okay.
Gilles Deleuze' 15th series of singularities. In the first place, singularities events correspond to heterogeneous series, which are organized into a system which is neither stable nor unstable, but rather metastable, endowed with a potential energy wherein the differences between series are distributed. In the second place, singularities possess a process of auto-unification, always mobile and displaced to the extent that a paradoxical element traverses the series and makes them resonate, enveloping the corresponding singular points in a single aleatory point and all the emissions, all dice throws, in a single cast. So just literally give me anything.
It's describing social interactions. Is that it?
I don't know. I'm hoping you could shed some light on it.
Singularity events. Maybe this is when two people meet, heterogeneous, and the heterogeneous series. It almost sounds like a chemistry essay.
It's from the humanities. It's from literary theory.
And the system which is neither still. I don't know, man. I would guess that it's describing social interactions. That would be my guess.
Random, can you find
Something
any
like that.
tiny scrap of context here and just any vine to cling on to?
No, but I'll try. I don't know what. There's at least 6 words in there that I have never seen before in my life. Aleatory. It's about aleatory points.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all about that. Heterogeneous aleatory points. It's all about that. You got to know what those are.
Le Monde 2007, great comment. You'd have to go to college to write something this stupid. That's true.
All right. Well, here's your second one. Felix Guattari. We can clearly see that there is no bi-univocal correspondence between linear signifying links or archie-writing, depending on the author, and this multi-referential, multi-dimensional machinic catalysis, the symmetry of scale, the transversality, the pathic non-discursive character of their expansion. All these dimensions remove us from the logic of the excluded middle and reinforce us in our dismissal of the ontological binarism we criticized previously. Just give me anything.
All right. I reckon he's talking about kind of class warfare and the relationship between the different socioeconomic classes. That would be my guess.
Any luck, Random?
No.
I like that sound you made.
There's two things that are not the same as the one thing. That's all I've got there. I don't know what on earth he's describing.
Right. And this might be my favorite of all, which is Jacques Lacan. So he made a mathematical equation to give his thing some rigor. So S, the signifier over S signified, with S equals the statement, with S equals -1, produces S equals the square root of -1. Thus, the erectile organ comes to symbolize the place of jouissance, not in itself or even in the form of an image, but as a part lacking in the desired image. That is why it is equivalent to the square root -1 of the signification produced above, of the jouissance that it restores by the coefficient of its statement to the function of lack of signifier -1.
You know, it's
so, Kristen, what difference does it make, Kristen, if some French guy wants to think of his penis as the square root of -1?
I mean, whatever gets it straight at the moment of truth, that's fine. This just seems like extra step for me. I don't know.
Well, Despot, any vine I can grab onto with this one?
No, I mean, I would guess he's talking about male sexual psychology, but
Maybe.
It's staggering to me that there was a time and a place where writing like this was considered intellectual and chic. It's just fucking French, man.
That's what it is, yeah. Random, this is all gobbledygook?
It's a man who has never seen a boob. Describing himself. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh God. Well, okay. Let's move on to now. I don't want to diss entirely on the humanities and literature, so I wanted to bring up this real quick. So Vladimir Nabokov, he lived in Berlin in the 1920s, and he wrote a book called A Guide to Berlin, which is just two people basically describing their day, and to each other in a pub. And so Vladimir Nabokov, writing literally in 1925 and thinking a century into the future, so imagining our day, and one of the characters talks about how what they're doing and what they're wearing and what they're seeing in their day-to-day lives in 1925, how it would be imagined in the far-flung future. Like he visits a train station, he visits a train museum. To portray ordinary objects as they will be reflected in the kindly mirrors of future times. To find in the objects around us the fragrant tenderness that only posterity will discern and appreciate in the far-off times, when every trifle of our plain everyday life will become exquisite and festive in its own right. The times when a man who might put on the most ordinary jacket of today will be dressed up for an elegant masquerade. He wrote that exactly 100 years ago. Isn't there something incredibly beautiful about that?
Well, he's right at the end. I mean, you look at what would be considered an ordinary jacket in the 1920s. If you ever see that old footage, everyone's well dressed in the streets. You wear that jacket today, you are going to, well, not an elegant masquerade, because masquerades don't exist anymore, but the modern equivalent. And the amazing thing about Vladimir Nabokov, that's the guy that wrote Lolita, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And Lolita is an amazing book. What people lose about Lolita is they're so focused on the sexual relationship at the heart of the book that they forget how beautifully written it is. It's
prose.
Such an incredible piece of literature, and the fact that Vladimir Nabokov, he wrote it in English, and English isn't his first language; it was Russian. That's astounding. He was a genius of language. Like the way he was able to use English to describe scenes and actions and the interplay between thoughts and actions. It's incredible. He was an amazingly gifted linguist and his use of language. Vladimir Nabokov is an amazing author. Just for the prose, you should read Lolita. Obviously, and to be clear, that book has been mischaracterized. It's not a pronounced book. The main character is a villain, right? He's an antagonist in the book. And the whole point of the book is that this is a destructive relationship that leads to great misery for everybody involved. But yeah, amazing writer.
True one-off. He wrote once that Lolita was the character that he most admired for her resilience and toughness. And so you as the author, he liked to arrange a novel like a chess game between the reader and the writer, where you have to look to see what he's doing, to move with his steps, and to see through the ironies through to the actual story when you've got this incredibly charismatic but crazy narrator who's narcissistic. So a true genius.
Humbert Humbert is one of the greatest monsters in literary fiction ever written.
So I just wanted to put this up here just to remind our viewership that at its top tier of literary fiction, it remains, as Henry James expressed, what was Henry James's quote? "I know no substitute for the force and beauty of its process. And if there's one thing in the world I believe in, it's that." All right. So, Despot, you get to talk about Alien Earth. First of all, I just wanted to mention
writing Vladimir Nabokov, fucking Alien Earth.
Well, first of all, these posters are dog shit. All of these posters are dog shit. Look at that. It's just fuck off.
Yeah, it's very blatant. It's not some... It's what the show is. It's dumbed down as fuck. There's no subtlety. It's brain dead. It's infantile. It's stupid.
I mean, it does get the point across that there are aliens and they are on Earth. Like,
yeah, that's true.
That's
right.
Yeah. So I got the first two episodes. You go ahead. You have the floor.
Right. Okay. It's dumb as fuck. Right. So they introduce interesting ideas, but then they completely botch the execution. So this idea that you're going to take the minds of children and you're going to move their minds into robot bodies, like, so you're going to have these cyborgs, but it's a human mind inside it. And they just don't even bother with the implications of that. So this is a child's mind. There's no pleasure-pain response because the body is a robot body. There's no fatigue, like they don't even require sleep anymore. They don't eat. So these are children, right, that can no longer experience pain, pleasure, relief, catharsis, all of these things that are very important for the development.
You just described Gen Z generally, so I guess it's just an analogy.
And I think that I don't think a mind would reject such a body in the same way that the body will reject a foreign organ. Like if you were to put the wrong type of blood type into you, it will kill you, right? And I think that if you were to take a human mind and put it into a metallic vessel, the mind would just shatter. It just wouldn't accept it. If they had gone down that route and they had put the kids' brains in the robots, and then the kids sort of quite quickly go insane because they can't
that'd be
deal with being
great.
in these robot bodies, because it's just
Yeah.
you're not your mind. You are your body and mind are very much connected. Like you have brain neurons in your gut, for example. And that would have been really interesting, but no, the kids are exactly the same. The only difference is they have robot bodies. So that was dumb as fuck.
Just to interrupt there, I think they could have had a cool sequence where like one of the characters stumbles upon some secret footage of their pre-trials before they got to the point where it worked, and you see like the robot things flailing around and having weird tantrums and ripping their limbs off. That would have been incredible if they'd done that.
It could have been a really interesting thing, but they're not going to do that now because the Alien franchise has been dumbed way the fuck down. And by the way, me and Echo are going to use this opportunity to take a victory lap, because we called this out when Alien Romulus was released and all the fucking shells said, oh no, it's actually fucking great. No, it wasn't. It was fucking garbage. And it was awful. It was the beginning of the dumbing down of the Alien franchise that has ultimately culminated in this fucking trash. This is what the Alien franchise is now, and it was the moron shills who were shilling for Alien Romulus that contributed to it. So fuck them. I hate to see it, man. Another franchise down the shitter. It's embarrassing now.
I stuck to my guns with Alien Romulus long after people had moved on. I was like one of those Japanese soldiers in the jungles 20 years after the war had ended, that the war had forgotten about. I was still fighting the good fight against that film.
It's awful. And then you get the plot armor. So the alien can wipe out a house party full of, ponces dressed like, 17th
well, you
century
see, Despot, they're idiots because they're rich. That was that's kind of...
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
If it's a main character, the alien just sort of stands and looks at it for a while and then attacks and misses. But if it's a party full of people, it will wipe them out in 10 seconds. It's so dumb. It's such a horrible trope, that plot armor trope. And then the boy genius, the guy who is so intelligent, he's such a genius that he can't even find another human being to have an interesting conversation with. That's how much of a genius is. This guy sends children to a fucking emergency situation to go and get essential assets.
Ridiculous.
He doesn't send his mercenaries, he sends children. It's like, how fucking dumb is this show gonna get? It's mind-boggling how stupid it is.
I just don't understand why they even went in that narrative direction to begin with, because it overcomplicates things whilst also dumbing them down, as you've described. Like the premise of the show, if you eject all of the kids' brains going into robots and all of that, the show is still dumb, but it's a pretty simple story so far, at least with 3 episodes in. I haven't seen episode 4 if it's out. It could have just been, well, the ship crashes, it's full of dangerous aliens who want to kill you, and they send in the people with guns to try and, Aliens style, to just kind of do that kind of thing and retread that old ground. But then they've added on, for some baffling reason, this extra, like, it's not even extra, it's like the main narrative thread is, we've got terminally ill children, we're going to press Control-C and Control-V their brains into robots, but they completely gloss over how exactly that works. Like,
no, what are you talking about, Random? They sit on a table and their consciousness goes through blue fluorescent tubes.
Yeah, it looked like something from Rebel Moon, but I'm just thinking, like, well, have you duplicated it? Is both bodies now conscious? Is this a clone? Have you got the ones and zeros saved on a computer so that if they, because presumably you have to digitize their conscience in order to be able to do this, which means that if they die, you can just print another one. But the show doesn't cover any of that at all. And then naturally, the genius character that Despot was describing decides to send his technological breakthrough into the alien ship, which there is no reason why he would do that. I've got nothing.
I'm going to put it out here, Despot, that the consciousness going through fluorescent tubes is actually stupider than War of the Worlds, where the little tiny electronic mites go onto the chip and start eating and sucking out its data. I think it's actually stupider than that.
And it fails to address basic questions. I mean, like Star Trek was addressing this way back in the day. Like, is this the actual person? Is this the consciousness of the person, or is it essentially just a mind clone? And like the little girl who has cancer at the start and she gets transferred to the robot, is she just dead now, but they cloned her mind? there's all sorts of questions they just ignore because why? Well, it's Disney now, and those questions are too heady for the modern audience. And
I checked out
the modern audience loved Alien Romulus, so we don't need to get into anything intellectual or intelligent or which speaks to the human condition. Let's just keep being dumb.
My checkout point was the guy. Okay. The girl dying of cancer who's been transported through her mind through blue fluorescent tubes into an adult body asks the guy why he doesn't have kids, and he says that he has a low sperm count. That was the scene where I just kind of checked out and thought, what the fuck am I watching? That was bad.
Yeah, it is bad. I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes. What happens in the 3rd episode, Random? Anything?
Yeah, good question.
Very little. So episodes 1 and 2 are kind of filled with nonsense. They're very quick and action packed. Episode 3, they just kind of wind everything down a bit and kind of deal with the fallout. So I'm trying to remember exactly. Episode 2 ends with the brother character gets abducted by an alien just before he was about to get face hugged. I don't know why, because the alien could just not do that, and then he's been face hugged. So robot child then goes and has a 1v1 showdown off screen with the alien and kills it. So the alien's dead now. And then the genius character takes everyone back to his evil lair so that he can harvest. I just remembered how insane this is. So the brother character has been injured. I can't remember how, but he's been injured. And rather than taking him to a hospital, they take him back to the evil spooky island so that they can harvest one of his lungs. Okay, right. And they take one of his lungs and they put it in like a tube of goo, and simultaneously they crack open a facehugger. They stun it with a little zappy stick, and then they pull out the little baby alien embryo from the facehugger, put it in the goo, and then it goes into the lungs. I don't know why they did any of this. I think they're trying to grow an alien inside of a lung for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. But the thing is, all of this, the main character, the genius character really, really likes the main character, the girl, the cancer girl who's now inside of a robot. So he can't just be like, I stole your brother's lungs to make an alien. So is he going to conceal this? Are they going to put the lung back in the guy and then have him be like, oh no, an alien came out of him? Who could have seen that coming? I have no idea. That's kind of where we are at the moment, though.
I think we need a 3-hour-long random video on this.
It's not dumb enough yet for me to be considering it, but we'll have to see. It will have to go down. It will have to, because right now I think it's just bad and I don't really care.
Oh, but I need your deconstruction. I need that 3 hours of deconstruction.
Then we're going to have to pray for the next 6 episodes to get worse.
All right. Well, there are a couple more things I had lined up, but I think I would just want to get into some super chats that are kind of piled up here. Hemorrhoid Hurts. Where is he? There we go. For the 2 Australian dollars, I think. Intros are my favorite. Rest is great too. Well, yeah, I gave a stupendous introduction to a guy who wasn't there, but I'm sure he'll see it in the re-up and he'll be happy about it. So thanks, Hemorrhoid Hurts. And Hemorrhoids again for the 5. Random UK indigenous population should demand welcome to country acknowledgement before every meeting and event, just like we do in Australia. Yeah, I guess that's the kind of thing. That is, like in Australian media, like just about every single website, you'd agree with this, Hemorrhoid, right? It has, we acknowledge the past, present, and emerging leaders of the such and such people of the such and such territory. So you see that on Australian media and on the bottom of Australian websites for just normal businesses now, quite common. M8566, patron saint to the channel, gifted 5 Echo Chamberlain memberships. Really appreciate it. And look, this time around, he's capricious. You never know what he's going to do, but he's gifted 5 Despot of Antrim memberships this time, which begs the question, if Greg had been here, would Greg have been M8566's normal go-to, and you're just a substitute because he's not here, or does he genuinely love you? So that's the question that's hanging in the air.
Sounds like a romance novel.
I should get AI to write it for me. Okay, Vladimir Taylor for the 1999. Despot, as a writer, how do you walk the line between symbolism and being heavy-handed in your theme? For example, Signs is one of my favorite movies, but I feel the theme of God versus fate is coarsely applied. Yeah, it did feel kind of crowbarred in there. as very sort of on the nose, but it's okay because it's kind of like a genre sci-fi, so you could have that on the nose element is kind of fine in there, I guess.
Yeah, you can have on the nose elements if you have other things going on that are much more subtle. So, for example, and I consider it a sort of anti-fan fiction movie. I Can Fix Velma, it's called. You can see it on my videos, and it has a very on the nose sort of theme of the media being scumbags and being evil. Like that's a very obvious message. But there's also a race swap satire, which is much more subtle, and most viewers won't get it. But if you're paying attention, you'll see that that little sort of symbolic through line is in there. But you can have on the nose stuff, but if you're going to do that, there does have to be more interesting stuff that's much more subtle going on around it. But don't be afraid to be heavy-handed in a particular theme if you really want to drive that theme home. Just don't be hammy about it. Write intelligently and try to write with depth so there's other things going on.
Yeah, I think with something like weapons, it can be quite genre-y, but you can also interpret themes if you want to. Like you can find themes in there if you want to. So I like that kind of balance and level. M8566, a member for 12-month. Hail random with heart eyes. Ooh, someone's got an admirer.
Yeah, I love you too, MA566. He's also a friend of my channel as well. I like him. Oh, he's a good boy.
He's a good lad. Joey bag of donuts for the $4.99. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Great panel as always. I appreciate everyone's work and insights. Well, thanks, buddy. Yeah. Doing our best to try and entertain you. M8566 member for 5 months. Hey, Despot, love the haircut. Can't wait to see you play Lex Luthor after Guns DCU. You would be
I was also looking forward to seeing Lex Luthor in Guns DCU, but Lex Luthor is not what I got. What I got is a giant man baby going, yeah. Fuck that movie.
I think he would make a legitimately good Lex Luthor. I think he could really nail that role. It'd be great. Kyle C for the 5. Did y'all read about the white male poet who pretended to be a gender-fluid member of the Nigerian diaspora to get published? Seems relevant. Yes, I did hear about that person. And there's quite a lot of this going on. So who knows? Maybe I should just, like, instead of submitting under a male name, just submit under initials, the way that female authors used to do in the 1800s. Strange. Joke of all butts for the, what's that denomination?
Danish. I want to say Danish krona, but I have no idea if Denmark uses krona. I don't know.
Random 6/12/38. Perfect pubes spotted in your video. What's he alluding to there?
Well, what he's alluding to is that there's a lot of boobies in Spartacus, and I had to go through and painstakingly remove every single one. I have been informed by a couple of people that I missed a couple.
You got to get to those before YouTube does. And blur them out. You can blur them out with the YouTube editor. The YouTube editor is a piece of shit, and you have to be very careful, but you can use it.
Okay, my plan was, I guess, if I needed to remove like the 5 seconds or so, which...
No, you can just blur it with the YouTube editor. You don't need to remove it.
Oh, if I can blur it, then I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just be very careful. I think YouTube removed the undo changes.
Yeah.
The feature, so you have to be very careful when you're doing it.
Okay.
I had a video on the trans movement, and it had one image, which is literally the cover image from an NHS booklet that you could find in the waiting room of breastfeeding, which is a plastic doll of a baby with a disembodied breast, which is just a disc with a nipple of it, clearly made of plastic, like 2 or 3 inches from the baby's mouth. And that got that video demonetized. Very strange.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't
it? Mike Hunt for the Australia $2 there. Was Leon the professional pronouns? Actually, yeah. If you research that, the director, he was like in a relationship with like a 15, 16-year-old girl, like prior to making that film and scripting that film. So yeah, the professional's not all it seems to be, and I'd just be a little bit.
I heard that Jean Reno forced a cut from the script. He was like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that."
Yeah, the director's cut of that movie is a little bit of a different beast. It is full on like uncomfortable to watch. It doesn't like cross the line to actually being explicit, but there's a point where Matilda is the girl's name. She says that she wants to sleep in Leon's bed, as she does in the normal version of the film. But then in the extended version, she goes on and says that she wants him to be her first time, and he declines. But he declines because he doesn't think he'd be any good. Yeah, it's a bit of a. I would not recommend the director's cut of Leon. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hassar Zvai for the $2. Thoughts on Transformers 1? Well,
that's a good movie. I saw that with my son. He really enjoyed it. Good kids movie, good family movie. A little bit formulaic, a little bit tropey, but still a good time. It's a good movie.
I still think of it and laugh when you recounted how you took your son to his first film and you asked him what he thought of it, and he said it was good, but can we watch a different film next time? That was quite sweet. And lucky last comes from I'm Just Angela for the 10. Despot, I enjoyed your Boyle Films video. Would you ever consider giving M. Night I never figured out how to pronounce this dude's name. Shyamalan? The same treatment. Yeah, mostly I just want to hear you whinge about The Visit and The Happening, lol.
It was an enjoyable experience to do it, but the video fucking cratered. And then it got hit by a Disney copyright block. I mean, I won the dispute, but I will make that style of video again, but I can't do it on a more obscure director. I would have to do either Quentin Tarantino or Christopher Nolan as the next one to get some eyeballs on it. I know Christopher Nolan would do well. That would get some eyeballs, and I would like to do that because I have a lot of thoughts about his movies, and everyone would want to weigh in the comments. So I think that one would work. I'll definitely do Christopher Nolan. I would be reluctant to do other directors just because of how badly that video did, because it was a huge amount of effort and it was a massive, massive bomb. So financially, I can't really afford to do that. I'm the breadwinner in my family. I got 2 kids to feed. I can't be spending 6 weeks on a video and then have it bomb like that. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think I would do that. No, but I'll do a similar video for Christopher Nolan maybe next year.
I'm interested to see how that goes. Yeah, fascinating. Because it's almost like a nostalgia thing there, because he's been around for like 15, 20 years of filmmaking, right? So,
well, I mean, his debut was Memento in 1999, I think.
Jeez, yeah.
So he had 2 other films before Memento, but I haven't seen them. Memento was the one that kind of got big, and that was 2000.
Do you think is there a nostalgia element? Is there a nostalgia element with his films, with people associated with like formative times and their?
No, because he's not thought of in the same way. For example, like Spielberg is thought of as a has-been director, in the fact that he still makes good movies, but his best days are long gone. Whereas Christopher Nolan's best movie was his last movie, Oppenheimer, and there's a lot of potential. Obviously, is it the Odyssey is his next one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential there. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out, but I'm optimistic, I think.
Okay. Well, that just about brings us to the end, folks. So all that remains for me to do is to go around the horn and ask our lovely panel what they're all up to. So I'll remove this and then put us here. And Despot, what can you tell the folks? What do you got cooking up?
My next video is going to be the Somehow Return of Palpatine, and my last one was The Last Jedi. So
how did The Last Jedi do in terms of comparison to Rise of Skywalker?
In terms of numbers, it got about half the numbers of The Force Awakens. So surprisingly, not that great, but it does have a very good average watch time. And its numbers were decent, like not bad. It was okay. So we'll see how the Somehow Return of Palpatine does. That'll be my next one. And then, check out my merch store too, because I'm now selling merch. That'll be fun. I can't wait. Also, if anybody buys my merch, send me a photo like of you wearing merch. You can block out your face. I don't mind. But I want the thrill of seeing someone wearing my merch. So that would be amazing.
What I'd like to do one day, I don't know how we could do it. Random, you're probably quite good at this. If there's a way that people in the chat could take photos of themselves watching our stream from their living rooms, so we can see our faces on their TV screen in their living room. If they could upload that to some place where then I could go to that place and then upload those images to here. I'd really like to do that, to see us in real time in people's living rooms.
I mean, the most convenient way to do that, I would imagine, would be Discord. You could do it through Twitter, but then everyone's posting it on Twitter, which they may or may not want to do. But yeah, that's something that can be done.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Anyway, what you got cooking, Random?
Well, the Spartacus video did really surprisingly well. As long as I can go through and play whack-a-mole on the 2 or 3 boobies that I missed, then hopefully it will stay up. So yeah, I mean, the next video that I'm working on is Gods of the Arena, which is the spin-off of Spartacus. Whether that will be the next video out depends on whether anything pops up in the meantime. Like, for example, if Alien Earth, if I decide to do a video on that, then that will take priority. And there's also a spin-off of Spartacus coming. Despot, I take it you've seen the trailer for that?
Yeah, Spartacus, Guard Boss, and Sand.
Yeah, I really want that to be good, and I'm kind of hoping that the trailer for that was...
I love Spartacus. I love the spin-off, Gods of the Arena. It's a great... The whole thing's a great show. I absolutely love it. But it's not just the Guard Boss thing. Like, the CGI looks so bad in that trailer. It doesn't look as good as the previous stuff. I mean, I like Asher. I think he's a great character. Yeah,
Asher's a fantastic character, yeah.
But and I think that was right. If you're gonna do another one, let's have Asher as the guy who's running the what do you call it? The gladiator school?
Ludus.
Ludus, yeah. That's a good idea. But I was a bit worried. It's like, man, the production, maybe it's because it's a trailer and they're not finished working on the CGI, but it didn't look good either.
Yeah, I won't say I'm optimistic, but I really want it to be good. But then if it's good or bad, expect a video on that when it comes out later this year.
All right. And Kristen McTiernan, what can you tell the folks? Obviously, everyone needs to go visit your Substack, so tell us all about that.
Yes, so my Substack is Fictional Influence, where I have cultural commentary very often through the lens of fiction, and I also talk about the indie publishing industry and various things like that. And then over on the Nonsense Free Editor YouTube channel, I have just come out with an interview with marketer Nick Pacone, and he had some really amazing things. And he's coming out with a book that's targeted at Dungeons and Dragons and just general RPG players and how they specifically can gamify their marketing. But any creator can use that. I recommend that. And then next month, I'm going to be talking to new independent author Ryan Stone, who's just come out of the gate gangbusters with men's contemporary fiction. And then he's just come out with a cyberpunk dystopia. So I'm going to be talking to him next month.
Well, that all sounds very good. I might even try and shill for myself here. I think I can do this. Yeah, if you're enjoying Christian Substack and you've still got some Substack energy left, then you could, if I can figure out how to do this, right here, and then do this, and then shamelessly plug my thing. Yeah, so I got my own little Substack cooking, and I'm up to 500 subs now, which I'm very happy about. And so I'm going to start going like paid sooner or later. But everything for now is free, and you've got a whole bunch of cool articles you're going to like there. So everyone, please do subscribe to that, sign up to it. It is free, and there's tons of really good content you're going to love. So that just about wraps it up for today. It just remains for me to thank Despot of Antrim, Random Film Talk, and Kristen McTiernan, and to say hi and to end as we always do with Despot's #1 rated top-tier classical composer, Claude Debussy, taking us out with thoughts and musings culled from the internet. So goodbye, everyone, and we'll see you next time.